And then right to here.
Jamar, you good? Naomi, you good? You got in? You got in, Naomi? Okay.
Which one?
6.1 statement. Don't worry about it. Should be a good track. All right. I would just move that verbatim to remind you.
Okay.
5, also 20%.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you wanted to change. No.
All right.
I'll give Pasha just put it
All right, we're returning from executive sessions where we discuss personnel matters that were private. And we are now coming back, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, all right. We, at the previous meeting, at the first convocation of the open meeting, we appointed 2 new board members, as you can see here. And they took the oath of office, and we did the Pledge of Allegiance at that time. And there was a real outpouring of support from his family and community members. So we're very proud that we now have a full board, back to having a full board speaking. And just so you know, I'm really happy. All right.
I second that.
Yes. All right. So now we're going to proceed to citizens' comment. The board recognizes the value of school governance, of public comments on educational issues, and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. In order to permit fair and orderly expression of such comments, the board has adopted policy 2370, public participation in board meetings. A copy of the policy is made available at board meetings while the board is eager to listen to the constituencies in accordance to the district policies. An attempt should be made to resolve issues on appropriate level before coming to the board. With that said, I'd like to Tarasina Brown has signed up, so you're the first. Step to the mic, please.
Good evening.
I bring you greetings from the city of Poughkeepsie, where our mayor is Yvonne Flowers, and I'm a common council member. If you want to join me, Councilwoman. We sit on the common council. I'm common councilwoman Brown.
Good evening. It's great to be here this evening. Congratulations on those who were just sworn in on this evening. We congratulations. We came here just to support. Thank you so much.
Yes, we came to salute the members that just were honored today, just joined the board. We'd like to select and let each one of you know that we appreciate your support in serving and believing in our children. And we don't take this lightly, and we're thankful for you. And on the city of Poughkeepsie, anything that we can do, we're here for you. God bless you. Eleanor?
Thank you so much. We appreciate that because it's all about the children. Thank you.
And
I
Mr.
appreciate
Cummings?
you all being here.
For coming. And the rest of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
God
And
bless.
may we have a safe, successful year for our children. Thank you. God bless.
Paul Berner. Are you Paul? Give your name and address and you're all set to go.
I'm sorry?
Name and address and all set to go.
Paul Brenner, 184 South Grand Avenue. I live directly across the street from Krieger Elementary. I've been in the city of Poughkeepsie for the last 9 years. I have a few concerns that I want to bring to your attention in this public forum. I emailed the Board of Education these concerns on September 10th. The school district and the school personnel need to do a better job at being a good neighbor. I'm constantly picking up trash in my yard that comes from school property. For the last year, there's been a long piece of plastic, approximately 6 feet long, in one of the trees across from my home. It's amazing that hasn't found its way onto my property yet. I have observed grounds personnel ride over trash while mowing. This trash eventually ends up in my yard and the yard of my neighbors. Perhaps building custodial staff and grounds crew could routinely walk the property, picking up trash, especially before the grass is mowed. The playground that was recently completed is a beautiful addition to the school and community. It's being used frequently, and it's great to see that happen. Unfortunately, that area as well is now being neglected. 2 of the spinner seats are now broken. It's only a matter of time before the remaining spinner seat is destroyed. There's always garbage inside the fenced area of the playground. Sometimes the garbage receptacles are overturned. Garbage then blows all over the playground and eventually makes its way into the neighborhood. I take pride in my home and property. I want the school district to do the same thing. I want you to be a good neighbor. Finally, the morning drop-off and afternoon dismissal is chaotic and dangerous at best. Cars are parking on both sides of the street, some in non-parking areas. Other cars park in front of the fire hydrant or block driveways on the opposite side of the street from my home. Cars parking on both sides of the street limits the ability for cars to pass each other. Factor in a large school bus, and it's almost impossible for that to happen. In addition to what I've already mentioned, parents and guardians are doing U-turns and K-turns during arrival and dismissal. This stops traffic completely. God forbid we have an emergency on that street or the fire department has to get down. They're not going to be able to get down that street. It's amazing we haven't had a serious vehicle or pedestrian accident yet. Please take these concerns seriously and help us be good neighbors and help us solve these problems. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Kellyanne Royce Caron.
Our former board member. Good evening. Kellyanne Royce, Limerick Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. First, I want to wish everyone a warm welcome back to the 25-26 academic school year. And congratulations to the new members who stepped up after the resignations of myself and Judge O'Neill. Thank you. Thank you for stepping up for children and for my alma mater district. I encourage you to ask the hard questions, request the data and the rationale, do your homework so you can vote accordingly in the best interest of children. With that, I just wanted to come forward this evening with a few concerns. Ironically, one will be repeated from what my neighbor on the south side just talked about. I also want to reiterate that when I come forward on the mic, this is not just how I feel or my opinion. This is about what people in the community are using me as a vessel to come forward, whether I was on the board and now as an active community member. So first, the busing. It's been shared with me via parents that students are arriving to school late. They're waiting in the dining halls far too long for pickup. And in hearing this, as an educator, I can't help but to ask how much academic instructional time is being lost due to the busing. When students arrive, are they being afforded the opportunity to eat breakfast? While these items need to be planned accordingly so that instruction is not delayed. A friend of mine shared that she and multiple parents, and I don't know what this is, has chimed in on some office hours that have been afforded to community members about busing. And I don't know how the mileage is being, and I don't need to know, but the parents want to know how the mileage is being determined from doorstep to school, because according to their Google Maps research, they should be afforded the opportunity for busing. I frequently walk on the south side of town as I live over there. There's some tree limbs that I think need to be cut down on the south side of Krieger. They're leaning on the building. It's a safety issue. It could cause the internet to go down, etc. It's also blocking windows that children should be looking out. I also wanted to comment, and this is coming from some citizens on the south side of town, about the garbage issue. A lot of children are using the playground there, but there's constantly garbage all over the place. The garbage cans are constantly overflowing. I don't know if this is a custodial or a buildings and grounds, but it has to be addressed. I trust that the board conducted walkthroughs before the opening of school.
Your time is up.
Not a problem. I'll be back next meeting. I have 2 more items that I want to make sure are put in front of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Leanne Safari.
Hi there. I'm Leanne Safari. I live on Lexington Avenue in Poughkeepsie, but I'm here representing the members of Poughkeepsie Public Schools Paraprofessional Association. I'm the unit president, and I represent teaching assistants, health aides, and library aides. So, good evening. The restructuring of our school buildings have come with some bumps, and with bumps come complaints. That's not what I want to bring to you tonight. Instead, I want to tell you about some of the amazing members of PPSPA and what they have done for their school communities. As the president of a union, one of the things we tell members is to stay in their lane, know your job, and do it well. Many of the stories of the last 2 weeks are not members that have taken that advice and have done whatever is necessary to bring aid to our students and school community. One of these individuals is a health aide assigned to a nurse's office to assist our students with exceptionalities with toileting. This member has stepped up to full nursing responsibilities because her building does not have a nurse and a substitute nurse has not been available most days. This person has not only stepped up, but has worked alone doing her job and the nurse's job for no pay title or change. Another member has become a bit of a Mr. Fix-It. In their building, there has been a problem that carried over from last year, and the last pack of administrators, all no longer with us, that we're going to find a solution about a broken fence gate. This member was worried because they've seen very young and high need students elope the area into dangerous situations. Instead of continuing to wait for a fix for the fence and the gate, this member went out and got some bungee cords and made a temporary fix. Their money, their time, our students. Another member at PMS reached out to me asking me for help because their class of students with exceptionalities is lacking a teacher. So they've had daily substitutes from ASAP. This member knows their students and knows the needs of them, and that this situation with this class is not well. Students are acting out, shutting down, and missing out. This member just wants a way to make it better for the students and has a willingness to help beyond the title that their job holds. Some members that deserve the biggest shout out are our health aides, who are servicing as many as 5 students each. High need students, students with behavioral challenges, and students that need more than 1/5 of your attention. To paraphrase our keynote speaker, Dr. Ebony Green, no one's coming to save us. These stories and so many more that don't fit into these few allowed minutes have shown that we're hopeful as a unit for better working conditions for us, but we're focused on being what our students need. If you're an administrator and this strikes a nerve, or a board member that strikes a nerve, come shadow us, not for 15 minutes, but for a day. Roll up your sleeves and let us see what you're made of, and you can see who we are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you'll show us. Noreen Clayton.
Good evening, Noreen Clayton, 29 Forbes Street. I'm here because I take care of my granddaughter. I take her to school and I bring her and pick her up and do her homework, so forth and so on. Up until the third week of August, I received a letter stating that she is now instead of going to Clinton, she's now a student at Smith School. I waited for a letter of transportation because from her door to the school is 6/10 of a mile. I was told she does not qualify for transportation because she lives within a half-mile radius, which would be in the perfect world if she walked directly from the house to the school. Yes, it's half-mile, but when you have to walk down one street and walk down another, it's totally different. It's 6/10 of a mile. I submitted the paperwork for transportation and was denied. I talked to the assistant supervisor, superintendent. She said, she agreed with me, but said, I don't have the authority. I said, who does? She said, the board. So that's why I'm here today, to talk to you about transportation for her. One, her address is 6/10 of a mile from the school. Two, we're only 10 days into the school system and already 2 days there hasn't been a crossing guard. Three, walking the path that she would have to take would be walking on the arterial, which is equivalent to walking next to a highway. And I'm sure nobody here wants their child or grandchild to walk next to a highway. Four, I haven't seen any police presence. It's right there by the high school. She's a fifth grader. She's 11 years old, and I don't want her mingling with high schoolers, middle schoolers, whatever the case may be. So I am here on her behalf asking for transportation for an 11-year-old. And by the way, there is a cut through that is between the high school field and the back of Smith Street School that's fenced in. Someone from the city school district took it upon themselves, because there's a gate on both ends, they locked it. It was locked a couple of days. So again, I asked why it was locked. They said because at nighttime, there's a lot of addicts that go there and shoot up. So even the whole area is not a safe place for an 11-year-old to walk to school by herself. So I'm here again asking for transportation for her, and my time is almost up. Thank you.
Thank you. Valpira Jones? Sorry on your first name if I mispronounced it. All right, I'll take you after this. Are you Noreen? Yeah. Okay, it's been pointed out to me. We'll get to you. Thank you. No problems. Sorry.
Good evening. I'm Valeria Jones. I live in 29 Forbes as well, number 24. I'm the last apartment in that complex. There was a body found in that complex 11 years ago in a dumpster. My daughter has never walked anywhere by herself. She's 10 years old. She always been going to Clinton. There is crossing guards going towards Clinton Way. I received a letter the third week of August as well that her school was switched. I contacted the board. I was told to come up and fill out an application for transportation. I did that. I didn't hear anything from you guys until September 3rd. When I reached out, you said you didn't know. Did I get an email? Did I get a letter? Nothing. So I contacted the school and I told the principal, do not leave my daughter out. When I get off work, I will pick her up. She doesn't know how to cross the street. We live in a drug-infested area. A kid was shot 2 years ago in front of the store. There is no crossing guard on Cherry. There's no crossing guard on Forbes. There's no crossing guard on the highway the way you expect them to walk. I'm not letting my daughter walk in the streets of Poughkeepsie. I had lost a family member. His anniversary is the 21st, Jelani Jones. He was shot in the head on Main Street. And I'm asking, could you please give my daughter a bus? The children need more. You know, we can't pretend that we care and not take action. We are fighting crime. We are fighting addicts. We're fighting mental illness. And these are babies, especially the elementary students. It's not safe out there when you got to cut through people's yard just to get to the short way so you don't have to pass the drug dealers, the addicts. You know, if it was your children, who I'm sure is not in the Poughkeepsie School District, you wouldn't tolerate that. I'm scared, I'm nervous. The staff wasn't friendly when I went to greet them. You know, they said, "Oh yeah, she should get a bus." They said, "We don't know what to do." The principal slammed the door in my face when I picked her up the second day after 4, which I was aware. I went to the mayor's office. I went to the councilman's office. I went to the board. I met you on the day y'all had the first meeting to see what parents was concerned to find out where their school was. I didn't even know you was the superintendent. I told you my concerns. Please look into this matter for those babies who was in one school from first, second, third, and fourth, and then you moved them and they live very close to the school and now they expected to walk. I work for the state. I got to be to work at 8 o'clock. I can drop her off, but I don't want to see her walk in the streets after 2, period.
Thank you. Uh, LaShawn Anderson Bragg. Sorry, I skipped you.
Hello, good evening. I'm not from this area, I'm from New Jersey, but my daughter will be transferred to the school, she's a junior. And I'm here tonight just to see how you all run your school board meeting.
Can you sit down because we can't hear you when you're standing up? Sorry.
Well, I thought I was talking loud. Okay. So however, excuse me? Okay, so however, I'm here to see how this board meeting goes. I'd like to know what programs you have for children with disabilities. I want to know what grief services you have, what mental awareness, like what services do you provide for the children that seem to be at the thrown to the sideways? Like the lady was saying, I'm not from here, but I walked Cherry Street yesterday. Okay, and I don't think nobody should be walking Cherry Street, not no minors. It look like Thriller over there. I'm just gonna be honest. My daughter will be hopefully getting the bus with the proper documentation she has and everything. But like I said, I'm from New Jersey and I will be enrolling my daughter in the school district. She's a junior. And I just want to know the programs and what you do have for the children. I can't go off of what those parents are saying because yes, it's about all the children, but their children are in elementary. My daughter, she's a junior, so not to say that we'll have the same fright, but their children are really defensive. So that's why I'm here. I just want to know who you all are. Look at your faces. You see my face. It's my daughter's face. And I'm a very concerned parent. I normally in New Jersey goes to school board meetings. Maybe not so much of the parent teacher because it gets redundant after a while. But the school board meetings I like to put my eyes on so I can see what's going on. So I guess I will be here this week, enrolling her into school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Is there anyone else who didn't sign up? Come on.
Hi, good evening. Jeremina Topololu here. I'm at 12 Willing Road. I want to congratulate our new board members. I am quite proud of Miss Winter Marquez because we have worked together over the recent years, and she truly is one of the most intelligent people I know, and I think she will make a difference. Miss Royce Giron, thank you for, I don't know what's for being so thorough. So there are people that really care for the district in terms of fine combing everything. I didn't know this was gonna happen. I'm so sorry. And it's on record. Okay. So next thing, the first day of school, I did write an email to a couple of people in our district about perhaps standardizing pickup and dismissal procedures. I think it would be great that the buildings share something in common with pickup and dismissal, and judging from comments made by others, it seems to be problematic. I have gone to elementary school in an Asian country and in another North American country, being north of the border. And I hadn't really foreseen that there are places that would do something differently, because in both countries, people lined up outside and in the yard and were picked up by their teachers to go up, and the same in reverse in the afternoons. So I think what's great with the reconfiguration is my very small network of parent friends have now spread across the district, and there's a way that we can kind of compare notes. And some systems work truly better than others. So I think it's something to be evaluated. And again, something to be kept consistently from building to building. And I don't really think there's an excuse in terms of the number of students that a building has or the number of exits. I think there's something that could really be held in place. And as for transportation, I love the bus rate app. I wish we could have those tablets in so that they could be working, because I appreciate the intention. I really did wish that that was already implemented before the start of school. There are people here who are extremely frustrated that it's offline. I like to advocate for this district, and at some point I'm kind of embarrassed to tell parents like, it's gonna work, I swear, keep staying in this district. And then something like the bus rate happens, and I don't know what else to say to them. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, and for all your contributions you're making to the school district.
you.
And I'd like to thank everybody who came out today and for the comments, and we appreciate it. And this is some of the largest turnouts we've had. Thank you. All right. Do you want to speak? All right. If you could introduce yourself with your name and where you live.
Hi, my name is Essence Vincent. I live in Poughkeepsie. I just came to the board meeting because my daughter had she's being bullied, and this is my first time, so I'm nervous. Like 4 days into the school year of this year, she got into a fight and stuff like that. I'm looking for somebody to help me. I don't understand, because it's the same people from last year. And my daughter done got tased in the neck, spit on, jumped multiple times. It's just the same people. And then 4 days into the school year, one of the girls for her, and I did write a letter to the board. I came in that day, and then I came in today again with another letter.
Can you talk in general, because you can't talk about real specific times and places. So if you can just make it a more
Okay.
general.
Okay,
So if you don't mind, I hear you loud and clear. Dr. Palmer, can you just get some information? See this young lady to your immediate left? She's going to take your information, and we'll get your daughter's name and information in school, and we'll see if we can get some support for you.
okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, with that, we're going to end the public comments at this time and move on to the regular agenda and first workshop topic. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Creedon, thank you so much. And I also want to thank all of our community members who came out tonight and yielded their voices and expressed their concerns. We hear you, we're taking notes, and we'll respond accordingly. Tonight, we have 3 workshop topics we're going to present. I'm going to ask that our secondary team make their way to the microphone along with Ms. Turner, our Assistant Superintendent of Schools. we're going to talk about our senior success planning and on-track analysis. That's going to be spearheaded by our high school principal, Dr. Simpson, and our assistant superintendent of schools, Mrs. Turner. We can give them a round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Encarnacion, as well for joining in. And once Dr. Simpson and Dr. Encarnacion speak to the senior success planning and on-track analysis, we're going to have our primary building success planning. We have both our primary principals in the audience as well, Ms. O'Connell and Ms. Barrow. And our third and final presentation will be led by Dr. Gadino and myself, who will speak to the 25 to 28 strategic plan and our accountability and transparency. So without further delay, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Turner, our Assistant Superintendent of Schools, who will speak and introduce Dr. Simpson and Dr. Carcione at this time.
Thank you, Superintendent Mott. Good evening, President Creedon, fellow board members, and Superintendent Mott. Our superintendent, during his convocation this year, shared his vision of supporting students in the urgency of now. Tonight's presentations build upon that momentum with our senior success plan and our primary success plan that we'll be presenting to you tonight. I am joined at this table right now with my colleagues, Dr. Simpson, our principal of our high school, and Dr. Encarnacion, who is our Director of College Readiness and Workforce Education. So we always begin our presentations with our mission. Our mission is our true north, keeping us centered on our championship, anchored in high quality opportunities that create pathways for success. Tonight's senior success plan presentation isn't only about credits and checklists. It's about how we are working to exemplify our mission in service of all of our seniors as they dream, plan, and work toward their goals for life beyond graduation. I will now turn it over to Dr. Simpson, who will share more specifics regarding our senior supports.
Good evening and congratulations to the new board members. I'd like to start out by talking about our cohort 2022. This is a cohort that came from the middle school during our COVID time. So I know there was some numbers that were shared at the opening of school, and it talked about our graduation rate. But I would like to go back and just make sure that everyone understands when we were getting 61, 62, and 63% graduation rates, that was during COVID. That's when children were not expected to take exams and they were exempt and they got special appeals. Before that, we had a 56 and a 58, a 57%. And after that, we've now had a 56 and a 56% graduation rate. So that is normally where we are with Poughkeepsie. We have been trying to come up with different things to make sure that we are moving the needle legally. And so in ninth grade, we had 333 students that entered ninth grade in 2022. As they are entering into their senior year, we now have 274 students, and the difference is 59 students. So we did have some students who transferred, some students who enrolled in HSCs, which is just getting their GEDs, and also students who dropped out, and some students who were excluded due to immunizations. So our Operation Graduation, where are we now? Right now, we are looking at early grads that happened last year. So they graduated already, but they were a part of this cohort. That was 7 students. Our red students, we go by a code of red, yellow, green. Our red students are significantly deficient in credits and our exams. So they have usually between 0 or 10 credits and 0 to 2 exams. Our yellow students are missing 1 or more exams, and they have credits between 12.5 to 16.5. Our green students are students at this point who have passed all 5 exams required to graduate and have 16.5 credits or more, so they are on track to graduate. As you can see, we have 81 red students, 78 yellow students, and 105 green students. And that is including in those numbers our special ed students as well. So the goal is we will demonstrate an increase of 5% on our cohort graduation legally, and we will demonstrate a 3% decrease in our cohort dropout for all students and for our subgroups. So what we're doing this year and what we have been doing and trying to, with our strategies to increase that, is that we have Adopt a Senior. So that's where we have teachers who look on the list and they take students who they are familiar with, who may be in their classroom, who they may have had at one point or another during their school year career, and then they adopt them and check in on them to keep them on track. And this goes even for our green students, because sometimes our green students, because they are so close, they do fall off track. So we put all students with Adopt a Senior. We have AIS classes for all core subjects this year. We made sure to incorporate that because that is something, if a student does not score high enough on a Regents exam, they can get an appeal. And with that appeal, they have to have had a AIS class. So we want to make sure that they are able to get that. Also, we have Edmentum, our credit recovery system. So scholars are able to recover credit and still have a full schedule. We have Regents Prep in November and April to make sure that students are prepared to sit for Regents in January and in June. We have Castle Learning, which is also a Regents Prep, and that is for students who are not able to stay after school, but they can do this on their own. And we have a parent checklist form that they have to now do. And I want to thank the board members for bringing that up to our attention, that maybe all parents should make sure that they know what their students have. So we are doing that not only at the senior level, we're doing that at 10th, 11th, and now 12th grade as well. So the parents know exactly where their child is, and it will not be a surprise come the end of the year. We have weekly and monthly attendance celebrations, which is prizes, gift certificates. We have a breakfast. We have trips that we do for the students. And we also have quarterly honor roll celebrations. Again, trips, movies, we do Broadway plays. But I'm not sure if all these things are going to happen this year due to budgeting and due to the constraints that we have been tasked with this year. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but that's what we had done in the past. Our progress monitoring, we do individual student support team meetings. We have assistant principal for professional learning communities, which every day, first period, except Fridays, is parent contact day for teachers, that assistant principals give some type of professional development to the teachers so they can now turnkey that back into their classrooms. We have common formative assessments that we do twice a year. We have mock Regents that we do once a year. So that really gives us a feel on where our students are. And so we're able to go back to do what we call reteach plans to teach where our students are still struggling so they can be successful. They also have monthly individual meetings with counselors. We have quarterly district and building senior success meetings to monitor progress towards graduation by subgroup. That is just going to be starting this year. We did have that in the past, but we're bringing that back. And we have attendance team monitors, weekly attendance reports, and the caseworker does do home visits. So that is also something new because last year we did not have a caseworker or case manager. So we're good.
Good evening and congratulations as well to the new board members. So I'm going to be sharing some of the tools and strategies and progress monitoring for 12th graders in the area of college readiness and workforce education interventions. So for the seniors, we do financial aid workshops throughout the year. Students come down during the day and they work on their financial aid in the library. The Multicultural College Fair is happening in October 14th as well. And last year we had about 75 colleges that came. This year we have about 70 plus as well. We have Senior Wednesdays. Seniors come down on Wednesdays, and they work on their college essays, college applications. They also look for scholarships as well. And they do research on colleges of interest. They also have Money Mondays where they work on scholarships. They have presentations as well during January and February. They also have a tour for historically Black colleges and universities. In the areas of progress monitoring, 167 students graduated in June 27, 2025. 155 were seniors, 5 early grads, and 7 12 plus 1. 12 plus 1 students are those that needed an extra year to graduate. 81% received at least one college acceptance, which went up 3% from 2023-24. 74.9 plan to attend college. 48.5 plan to attend a 2-year college. 65% of students that applied for scholarships received at least one. In terms of college acceptances, DCC, or Dutchess Community College, 115 students applied and got accepted. Mount St. Mary, there were 11 students, 9 for Dominican University, 8 for Buffalo State University, 7 Iona, and 6 SUNY Oneonta. Scholarships awarded, the total amount was $171,605. For the class of 24, there was approximately $140,000. And this represents 23% increase over the previous year.
Can I ask for a clarification
Yes.
of what you define as a scholarship? Because I may have a much broader one.
Mhm.
And, and the account, if one student gets like 5 presidential scholarships and only takes one, how are you computing that number? What's that number really mean?
So there's several scholarships that they apply for. They also research different ones. So it's a broad amount of scholarships that they apply for. I don't have the specific names of the scholarships. I only have Miles of Hope.
I think you answered it,
Yeah.
because some people or some schools
Mhm.
organizationally, if I get a president's scholarship, the Marist, I didn't apply for it.
Mhm.
It's given. And, and all the Pell Grants are given. And there's a lot of stuff that when they go to, they go. So this is when these are individual scholarships, not the general Pell financial
No.
aid.
No, these are
where a person.
scholarships they
person
applied
could be
for.
offered $300,000 if they go to the call. Okay. Thank
These
you.
are scholarships that the students apply for.
Okay, the end of
Not
like
given.
Chamber of Commerce sort of one.
Chamber of Commerce, yes.
All right, thank you.
So our 9th and 11th grade interventions, again, is the AIS, is the Regents Prep. We have something new this year, which is peer group connections. So we have our upperclassmen who serve as mentors to our entering freshmen. So the freshmen who came in this year, they have a class on one of our letter days. We go AC, BD. So some of the kids have class on one of those days, and they are being mentored by the upperclassmen. So they talk about all different types of things. We have our SEL push-ins, which address some of the concerns and mental health that's going on. We have academic progress. We have family graduation meetings, and that again is where the parents are signing off on the graduation requirements for their students. So they know from 10th grade, if their student is behind, they are aware and they know what is expected for their student to be caught up and be on target to graduate. We have small group individualized interventions, again, weekly and monthly celebrations with our honor roll quarterly. We have all those same things at the 9th and 11th grade level. We do the same type of progress monitoring. So it's equal across the board. So everything is about the same.
So how do we track student progress towards graduation? Where is the data and what data do we look at? So these are some tools and resources that we use. So we use the student information system called Infinite Campus. They have a graduation tracker where students, you can see which students are in red, yellow, and green. We also have a senior audit template where you can see all of the courses that are required and all the regions that are required. This is used with the academic counselors. We also have reports from the state from level 2. They call CERT reports, CERS reports, the number 341. These reports, we can see students meeting credits, not meeting credits, meeting regions requirements, not meeting regions requirements, students pending review. Some students can apply for appeals, and it gives us that report as well. And for the high school, we also have student 4-year plans where we track from 9, 10, 11, and 12, where all the required courses that they need. And we also have Panorama, which is a early warning system for attendance, academics, and interventions.
And that concludes our presentation. Thank you again for our senior success plan portion. Do you have any additional questions?
Board members, if I could go around the horn, Fatima, do you have any questions?
I want to yield to either our new board members. I do have questions, but I don't want to dominate the questioning.
I did have a couple questions for you. When students are leaving, are we tracking where they're going? Just so we can find out where students are actually ending up. And then I noticed your loss of students due to immunizations, but it wasn't on the list of interventions to target. So just what is the strategy for getting those students into compliance?
So,
Thank you.
okay. So yes, we do know where all of our students go. When we have a dropout form, and on that form, we put where they go. So if they transfer to another school, we put the school that they go to. If they drop out and go to a GED program, we put that program that they go to. If they are not going anywhere, we also put that as well. And for our students with the immunization, yes, we didn't have a caseworker last year. We do have one this year, and she has been doing home visits to make sure that we get those students back in.
That's it.
Question. Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. 2 questions. First, about your budget and concerns for the quarterly honor roll celebrations. What are you guys doing? And
You have to talk into the mic because when the recording happens, we won't hear your voice well.
So are there any plans to supplement those celebrations? It would seem kind of unfortunate not to have those this year because of budgetary reasons. So is there a way, or is there a plan to, and
so
without coming out of your pockets?
Right. So that's what I was going to say. So 9 times out of 10, we will, still supply some things, but not all things.
Okay.
So I will work with the district to see, what can be done so we can continue those celebrations.
Okay. And were these celebrations like a part of your budget in the past and just like taken out this year? Like, how do you get in this space?
So they were a part of the budget, but now due to, I guess, legal situations and the way different things have changed with the budgeting, some things cannot occur. So we have to just find, I guess, creative ways to do it.
Okay. And then last, the historically Black college and universities tours. Is that something that the district funds, or is that like the students pay to go on these tours?
No, so that is part of the district and part of Marist College.
Nice.
We have Liberty. So Liberty pays for part of it and we pay for part of it.
Okay. And they just go to DC is the furthest they go down? They don't go any,
I'm sorry, say
they
it
don't go
again.
any further than DC? Any other schools?
No, they don't. That was just last year. We had started it with another company. And then last year we partnered with Marist. And this year we're going to be looking at different schools. That was just last year, the schools that we went to. So we are looking to try to go to different schools.
Okay, perfect. That's all I have. Hopefully we can figure out a way to celebrate the honor roll students. I think it's important to keep morale up, especially in this school district where our youth don't get a lot of support or hear a lot of great things about what's happening here. So anyway, the district, the board can support and celebrating our youth and their accomplishments. I think we should do everything in our power to do so. I appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eleanor?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say in regards to the 12th grade interventions, I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Simpson, and all of you there. Because it is imperative that our graduation rate, is successful. And to find out why in the 9th grade, the 10th and 11th and 12th, where we are missing the mark on that. So I just commend you. I think that's awesome. The mock regents, because it's not easy to pass a regents. So I'm glad that you're getting them when they come in or, starting so that way they can prepare themselves for the regents, because that's important. I love the attendance team monitors. That's awesome too, because Poughkeepsie is a dynamic place. And, as some of the people that came to the mics spoke, we have a lot of things that's going on with Poughkeepsie. So yes, we come to the meetings and we start with the school district, but the community, that's important, because the school district, we close, right? We work from 8:30 to 4:30 or a little bit of after school, but we have a community that has a lot of things going on. So these attendance monitors, the counselors, all those things you spoke of, I just think that's amazing, because sometimes children can't come to school. It has nothing to do with their academics. It has to do with their community and what's going on in the community. Foster care, that's a big, issue. So I think all of these things that you're putting in place, they're excellent. Bridging the community to the schools and the schools to the community. We need everybody. It's not just the teachers, it's not just the principals, it's not just Mr. Mott. We need everybody, just like the young lady who said, when my child is walking to school in an unsafe, we need the community and the schools. So I think that the interventions that you're putting in place are excellent. So I'm just hoping to see the numbers and the data that backs it up. But I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Fatima?
If I could ask our legal counsel to clarify a bit in some of the budgetary changes and some of the things that prohibits us from using taxpayer dollars, if you can just clarify on that. I think it might be related to food.
This one.
So, board member for Fatima Martinez, I have not previously consulted about this. So, but Superintendent Mott just stated that it's something about food. So if I could speculate on that, I have given guidance to the district that the food outside of the school nutritional program is legally prohibited. Our comptroller considers that to be a gift of public funds. So that is something that we're not permitted to do outside of the federal child nutrition program or donations. So that may be where that concern is coming from for certain events.
Is there anything that would, a different avenue that we could take in order to fund, for example, an outing in New York City where kids can go and enjoy a restaurant?
So student extra classroom activity funds are the vehicle through our commissioner's regulations by which students and faculty members can fundraise for those types of activities. Are also permitted by law to donate. Which I will remind folks, if you would like to give a donation for the benefit of some sort of student activity or experience that would benefit our students, this board is always open to donations. That's something that is possible. Other districts have affiliated boosters and other campaign organizations that fundraise for types of things that the school district is not permitted to fund out of general fund.
Did you? Take this.
But typically the extra classroom activity fund structure is the preferred mechanism for fundraising. Certain trips, likewise, the comptroller has opined that if the benefit of the trip is purely for the student and not connected to the educational programs, that's an impermissible use of general fund for school districts. So, your business official is well versed in these rules as well. and has likely given guidance to the buildings regarding permissible use of school funds. But the bullet point is, unfortunately, we are creations of New York State law as school districts, and we're required to abide by the New York State Constitution and the advice of the comptroller. And this is one of those areas it's just pretty black and white. The comptroller says you cannot pay for food outside of the school nutrition program.
So can I just say something? Can I just kind of speak to what you said, what you asked? There is a board policy that even prohibits us from asking our students to pay for field trips and do different things. So if we can look at that, maybe
that's
that
good.
would be something that we
Yeah.
can do to, open it up so parents can, provide that.
So, yeah, I think that was like let's say this properly. I think you're right about that. That I think the intention behind that policy was to not, for economical reasons in the community we serve, to not feel the pressure or the obligation to pay. But there was another question related to those potential activities. Do you have a budget line for what something would cost to maintain these activities? Do you have that number?
And Board Member Martinez, I want to just clarify, field trips can be funded out of general fund, but it is a multi-factor test that the comptroller applies to those to determine whether or not the purpose of the trip is curricular in nature. If it is curricular in nature, we are able as a school district to fund that out of general fund. If the activity is not curricular but enrichment related, then that is something that we are not permitted to fund, and the students would have to fundraise themselves for that.
And I think this example may be more celebratory than anything else. Do you know the budget line by chance?
No, it comes out of our general fund, but we do have a
I'm
state,
sure
a
we can
SEP
pull it
grant.
out somewhere.
Right, we do have a SEP grant that we can take some funds out of as well to do types of celebrations, because that was something that was approved by New York State.
Okay, so I just want to follow up on that just to make sure that there's no interruption and look at how we can leverage other opportunities. But what I will say though is that I don't, in my 6 years living so far in Poughkeepsie as a parent, I haven't seen a robust PTA in the middle school and the high school, which in other school districts that's who would pay for these kinds of things. I just want to put it out there. And, I come from the low income bracket section of whatever you want to call as a single parent. And I don't want to necessarily pay too much attention to that, but share lived experience just so that the context shares that I get it. And I say that to say that we have to figure out a way to organize though. Even though we might be stretched thin in our own homes economically, we have to kind of figure this out and do better with our organizing and get our kids these special activities. So I'm happy to help volunteer some way with the PTAs. I don't know if I can do a lot with it, but I think that whomever out there that hears in our community, we really need to start organizing our PTAs for our middle school and high school.
I just wanted to add, Fatima, that, and Ms. Penn is here, Warren had an excellent PTA. And we did a lot of stuff in Warren, the movie nights, the popcorn nights. It was awesome, the community. And also in the middle school, it's developing, but we had that there too. We did truck or treat last year. So it's there, you just gotta connect to it.
Yeah, I mean, the first year I came into the school district, I tried to join the PTA and it was interesting. And I don't think we weren't our best selves. And I think we could do better and we should do better. I mean, we can't always have to say something, oh, but we don't have this, but we don't have that, we don't have this, we don't have that. You also have to take action. There are 3 parents, by the way, on this board. So there's no other higher level of service as a parent than serving on this board, trust and believe. So just saying that, really speaking to parents that we need to shake it. Had another question about immunizations. So last year I had a conversation with the Department of Health's commissioner. And she had informed me because I was curious about it, because I was pretty deeply upset last year that we were keeping our seniors from attending school, because that makes no sense, right? Like they should attend school, they shouldn't be missing any day. And any student missing a day just because of immunizations is just maddening. So she had explained to me, because I brought this up at our last meeting this time before, that even though as parents, you go do your annual physicals, and at your annual physical, you go over your immunization history, you decide at that annual physical, yeah, your child needs XYZ immunization this year. That is not comparable to what New York State Ed wants you to do. And that's the problem. The Department of Health's commissioner said to me, I can put out, an email to all providers, but there's some misalignment there. So just to say that it's a challenge, but the Department of Health's commissioner also said that she will wholeheartedly be available to make sure those vaccinations are made. So I hope we're not delaying in that process. And Mr. Mata, we can have some follow-up to that. Because I'm concerned, I don't want to have a repeat that we had last year where there was like a high number of seniors that were missing out. And I don't think we can get around the requirement by New York State Ed. Believe me, I gave fire last year over that because I have my own annual physicals that I did. In fact, my own senior last year was a hot mess. So all I'm saying is that I don't think we're going to get around the legality behind New York State Ed. It has to get done. But how can we be more proactive in providing the resources here on the ground? I mean, for COVID, we made our gyms available. What can we do to bring that to our kids?
Right. So we did offer the families, resources and places to go to get those shots for free. And we also, if you just had an appointment, we let you come back to school and, waited for the information to come after the day of your appointment. So we did try to, accommodate our families.
And if I could clarify as well, the requirements that the Department of Health is sharing with you are uniform and applicable to all school districts in New York State.
Yeah.
And they're not very flexible. They're very
Right.
Dr. Simpson knows, they're hyper technical. And the fines and penalties for the school district for noncompliance are serious,
Oh, no,
$2,000 per day.
when I spoke to the
Yeah.
commissioner, I was like, okay, there's no way around this.
Yeah, the good news is there is a process whereby if the series is underway, the student is underway in obtaining the series, like Dr. Simpson said, they have an appointment scheduled and they've obtained the first shot in the series, that is an exemption. They're able to continue in attendance until they come into full compliance. I work with many school districts that have parents that have objections to vaccine, and that is the reason for the lower vaccination rate. In my experience in Poughkeepsie, that has not been the issue. It's been the logistics of getting the vaccines and getting them free of charge, as you said, that's been the greater impediment to keeping that vaccine rate high.
Well, because we have such a great city with folks that are ready to help, that's what I'm saying. Like, for me, it makes no sense. If it's an issue of resources, there should be our community. I'm saying the community, because I'm going to tell you, I will hold fire to our district when we are failing short, but I will also hold our city fire when we're failing short there. And this is a city issue in my conversations with Department of, and I'm saying city because it's an entity within our community, not necessarily saying directed to our city officials, but to say that it is within the public health realm. And we need something more external supports to get this available, because what happened was last year is that we lost, there was like no available vaccines. So kids were going, or parents were showing up to their providers and like, oh, we ran out. Like, wait, how does that happen? So that there's that. And because there is a collaborative effort, I think, with our external partners in our community, that should be on the agenda, not just for the district, for the multiple folks that are involved. So, Mr. Mott, if you can maybe follow up with our mayor and, our commissioner of Department of Health, who are all part of the children's cabinet, maybe a thing that they can tackle on so that we don't have this issue next year. I will follow up on the policy that you talked about. I'll put that on my to-do list. The other thing is the reds, there's 0 to 10 credits and 0 to 10 exams deficient. Then why are we classifying them as seniors?
So in New York State, it goes by your cohort. So they continue to travel with their cohort. And that's why when you saw the number of graduates, it was 12 plus 1. Those are students who did not make it and they become our super seniors.
Okay. Yeah, that just seems really like tough, right? Because if you're like 0 to 10 credits,
Yep.
there's no way you're graduating. And so I think that there could be a misinterpretation in the data. So just to highlight that this doesn't mean to parents that because you're in the red and your kid is quote unquote a senior, that somehow within that year, they're gonna make it to graduate.
No,
So that's why I want to clarify that.
right.
Because
That's why we have the meetings and that's why we're now having the parents sign because we want to make sure that they understand exactly where their students are.
yeah. And then with that in mind, what resources and what is their pathway then to graduation, or is there an alternative pathway? And we don't need to get into the details of that right now, but that's where that comes to mind. Because if we're like 6th year, 7th year, and we're struggling, and look, not everybody is made to be in high school. You know, I got a GED. I mean, I had different circumstances going on in my life, but there are different things that happen and people need to take a different path. So just wondering about that. We don't have to get into the logistics of that now, but or table that. You talked about adopt a senior through teachers. Why are we not also opening up mentors, which I know that there is a piece of fingerprinting and whatnot, and we have a volunteer policy and all that good jazz. But wondering about having more mentors, alumni that can wrap around our kids. That would be amazing. If there was some sort of effort. The Regents prep for November and April, is that specific to kids that are slated to take their Regents, but
Yes.
also might have failed?
Yes. And they're also in AIS classes as well.
Okay, all right. Really interested in that because I'm experiencing that this year more personally, and I can see that. I can see how there could be a recurring issue of failing the Regents and our kids trying to figure out how to pass it, and then it catches up. So I want to see what other interventions we're putting in, because I've already heard whispers of multiple kids struggling. They failed it the first time they took it, and they took it again in the summertime, failed the second time. And I know nationally there's been conversations about this particular Regents. The living environment one was really not in alignment with what was taught in the classroom. So I get that part of it. But I could see that there's a pattern that could potentially develop, especially such a rich, dense information for some of our young men. I'm a parent of boys, that's why I'm saying that, can struggle, not specific to young men, but any student, right? And not get it the third or fourth time they take the Regents.
Right. So I just want to be clear that, the students that came in from 8th grade, the ELA rate was 15%. The math was 1% and our science was 15%. So when we have our open house and we have a parent university as well. We have our parents come back and we try to tell them everything that we offer. We show them what a Regents exam looks like. So math is not just a math, with calculations and numbers. It is a reading test. And our students are well below grade level in reading. So that's why they're having a hard time. A lot of our students don't attend Regents prep because it's after school and they have other obligations, but that's why we try to give them castle learning as well, so they can get something to be prepared. And a lot of times they are 2 or 3 years removed from an exam, so they haven't had that content. They're not going to be successful unless they do come to the Regents prep or they do castle learning.
And the Regents exam, just so everyone knows, especially for parents, you can find it online.
Yes.
All previous ones. I personally used it with my own kid. But I think what I'm learning myself in parenting is that abstraction of some of those questions. So it's just hard to contextually say, I don't know, there was a conversation I had with a student that said, well, what would happen to the environment if such and such animal didn't have trees to live off? And, there was no like, I don't get that. So I think there's a lot of abstraction that doesn't align with the way they're understanding the concepts. So,
Fatima? We have two other presentations.
yeah, I understand.
All right.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes, ELA was 15%, math was 1%, and science was 15%. And this is the class that we're talking about now. This
I'm
is this
almost
cohort.
done, but these are important points that I need to raise as a board member in order for me to do my fidelity job. The case manager position of home visits, awesome. I know we were missing out on that last year as well. I'm just going to reiterate again, leveraging other people in our community that do home visits. So again, I don't know if we're doing an intake process. It should be simple enough through registration or some form of communication, maybe at parent universities, to get a consent to communicate with maybe other folks that may be doing home visits. Because that will help us. And then the college acceptance rates, I noticed in the data that most of our college acceptance, and no shade on Dutchess Community College, they actually have phenomenal programs. But I saw there's 115. So and often DCC will enroll our kids, right? It's a very low number that will not be enrolled. So while I'm happy, think it's great, I think we also need to look beyond that if possible. And so just noticing that data. And then the panorama piece with the Infinite Campus, just highlighting again, these were previous things that I've addressed in the past. Want to put on the radar, and our superintendent, who's new and is just kind of picking up on his inheritance of the past. Just to say, is Panorama in alignment with Infinite Campus? Because I've heard feedback in the past through committee work that we're not leveraging all of our apps. Just mentioning again, I hope that this is and somehow coming together, and that will be it. Thank you.
So IC does speak to Panorama. So.
Okay, I think there was like it can speak, but I don't know that if everybody's using it is what I was
They're using
understanding.
it this year. We're making sure that they're using it this year.
So I want to hear. Thank you so much.
Given professional development on
I
it.
appreciate that. That's great.
Along those lines,
Progress.
is there any view of which one is easier for the parents to use?
So the parents don't see Panorama, they see IC.
But are we teaching them
How
at
to
an
use it.
early session, how they can use these tools? to give them a
Absolutely.
Clear view, so they see where they stand. And I know software is software. One's got to be a little better or a lot better than the other. And, we could get feet instead of us saying this is the best, maybe.
But Panorama is more utilized internally.
But I'm saying maybe we could just explore with a few parents and get input, which is the one
But
easier.
specific to this comment,
Right.
Board President, specific to this comment, it was the feedback from the staff through committee work was Panorama was not being leveraged internally as a tool to be able to bring all the pieces, interventions, how kids are doing, their
Right.
behavioral reports,
And I was
all the
making,
things.
and I was making a different point. I'm saying, is there one of the softwares that the parents could go in and sort of get a view before we tell them and everything where their kid's on track, that is more parent driven, not our. Okay,
IC is for the parents. Panorama is more for the internal.
okay. Are we doing IC training for the parents and?
Are we
getting them in it?
are we
Are
encouraging
encouraging them?
parents to
Yes.
sign up for parents,
For
parent
IC,
portal?
right.
Where they can see the progress of their students,
Yeah,
they can look at their
and if we could
attendance.
just see
Right.
numbers of how, back to everything, we have tools, but
Right.
is
I don't
everybody-
know how we can.
Is everybody doing, look at the uptake?
Mhm.
You know, are they doing it? Is it hitting it? Because
Right.
if they're not using it and they're not, we got to try something else. That's all.
Okay,
All right, you had a question?
okay.
All right, and it's a Herculean job, and it's really the climate of the building and the peer pressure and cohorts. And I just, even if we could look at, start to do a little correlation, you know, there's groups of kids that do very well and there's groups that don't. And so when we look at everything, you know, what are the success place where you want your kid to hang out because they have better results? And you know that, like the band and the orchestra, and how, you know, there's little niches that do really well, and how do we identify them and then sort of herd them to those niche areas that get him out of bed so he wants to go in and play with his, you know, the early morning practice with the drums and everything. We got to really work on that and make it. The kids have to be there. They want to be there. And I don't know if we're doing that really well right now. The numbers would indicate no. So thank you very much. And now you're on your next one.
Dr. Simpson, thank you so much.
Thank
Dr.
you very much.
Encarnacion,
Right.
appreciate it
You're
as
more
well.
than
Give them a
welcome.
round of applause. Thank you both for taking time out of your schedules to be here to share in this discussion with us on the senior success planning while the elementary primary principals make their way to the microphone. Mrs. O'Connell and Ms. Barrow, they are going to take the lead in our next presentation. We're going to talk now about on the primary side, our pre-K to 2 principals are in position. I want to welcome both to the principalship. Keep in mind both Mrs. O'Connell, Ms. Barrow are first year principals have been on the job now since, well, I want to say the fiscal year, July 1st. Some of them are after that. We know we're 2 weeks in. So just wanted to mention that openly and publicly that you all are taking a hand for the first time here in Poughkeepsie. Want to appreciate you all taking time as well to come share with us this evening. So Mrs. Turner, you can give the introduction and then your principals can take over from there.
Okay, so good evening again. We began this evening at the finish line, celebrating the plans that carry our seniors into college, career, and life. Now we'd like to turn our attention to the starting line, where our youngest learners are just beginning their journey. Joining me in this second section of the presentation this evening, our principal of Krieger Elementary School, Mrs. Barrow, and our principal of Sojourner Truth Elementary, Mrs. O'Connell. So we did our mission again with our champions because we always start there, but we'll go to the next slide. Our previous slide, like we said, always focused on our mission, but this slide focuses on our purpose and our why. Here you see images of joy, happiness, fun, and excitement during Mrs. Barrow's and Mrs. O'Connell's welcome back to school events for this school year. So you can see all the wonderful things that they've created for our families, our students, and it's just wonderful to see the joy and excitement in everyone's faces. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Mrs. Barrow.
Good evening, Board President and Board Trustees, as well as Superintendent Mott. So this evening, we will be sharing information about our primary academic success plan. This is an overview of our schools and how many students we have and how many different classes that we have to support all of our young learners in both Krieger and Truth Elementary School.
Good evening and congratulations again. So this slide highlights the heart of our primary success plan. We are really committed on these 4 key factors. So with academic success, we do that through differentiated instruction that is supported by data and appropriate data collection. We tailor our personalized instruction for students through a multi-tiered systems of support plan, and we ensure that we give individualized instruction based on the needs. We support the whole child through social emotional wellness through a variety of different things. As mentioned before, this isn't just 8:30 to 4:30. What happens outside of the school is a huge part of what goes on with our students. So that whole child focus is essential as a pillar. And again, as mentioned before, that community connection, the family engagement, communication, and collaboration, because that is what, when families are engaged and informed, that helps support the students.
So with our youngest learners remaining in the focusing on the urgency of now and our goal that our superintendent put forth in our charge at the beginning of the year, we've set very aspirational goals for our youngest learners because we have a commitment to help them all read by the end of 2nd grade, so they enter 3rd grade as proficient readers and mathematicians. So this slide here indicates some data that we took a look at the beginning of the year when we were setting goals. This is our iReady data. And so I'm just going to orientate you to this slide a little bit where it says 1st grade. That's end of year performance from kindergarten last year. So we had 7% of our kindergarteners leave kindergarten proficient. The 23% goal is not an end of year goal, it is a mid of year goal. We want to see a 16% increase in our students' performance by the middle of the year. And we created these goals by really taking a look at those proficiency levels of our students and students that were slightly, and it's like on grade level, below grade level, 1 or 2 years below grade level. We took a look at the students who are at the high below grade level and saw that with strategically determined interventions, we believe that they can reach these goals by the middle of the year. So then at the middle of the year, we'll re-examine this proficiency and then reset those goals.
Can I ask a clarification now? What's the correlation from iReady to the actual testing data? Because iReady is about movement, not accomplishment. How is there, are we looking at comparing iReady to the state testing and see how
So,
it correlates?
Yeah, there's 3 major assessment systems out there, iReady, NWA, and STAR. They're all correlated to state assessments. And I think one thing that's powerful about iReady is STAR and NWA. It's like choosing between Lexus, Mercedes, and whatever, 3 brands. STAR and iReady were created after the new state assessment, state standards were provided. And so they say they're aligned to state standards, but really they just took their assessment questions and then said this one is answering this standard. iReady is built from the standards. So it was created after, so it's directly aligned to what our students have to do and their proficiency. It does monitor growth, but it also monitors proficiency. And so it's directly aligned. There are normed reports, and they actually re-normed them just this summer. So what they did is they took millions of students who took this test, and then they re-normed it based on proficiency now. You're welcome. So we'll move on to the next slide. Go back. So we'll start with our interventions, how we're going to meet this target with our reading and mathematic tool strategies, progress monitoring, and what our target is.
So we have high expectations for our young learners, and one of the strategies or some of the strategies that we're looking to implement is when starting with our grade level meetings with our teachers to discuss what our students need as far as small group instruction and the standards that need to be addressed for our students, and providing students with the opportunity to engage in those standards in those domains using our iReady curriculum, especially the tools that provide the students with individualized instruction based on their needs and how they answer the questions within the programs. One essential key component to this is the review of data. And so looking at data, really all different data points to then triangulate that data so that we can talk about what is it that we're seeing, what is working, what needs to be improved upon, because we want all of our learners to reach their growth scores as well as proficiency levels. Another component of our plan is that it must be individualized for our students. And in our data meetings, we're talking to our teachers about not just how many students are needing additional support, but also what are their names, whose classes are they in, and how can we support them. So we're talking about meeting the needs of students and then looking at our students who are exceeding the expectations and how do we make sure that they stay on track with exceeding those standard for based on their grade level during the middle and end of year. So that means that we also have to look at behavior and attendance as well. And we are encouraging teachers to put in any behavior incidents within our school management system, as well as looking at our attendance. We have groups that we meet with regularly to talk about attendance, in which all of our counselors are there, speech and language, everyone is there, as well as our attendance officers, so that we can see if this is a pattern for a particular family or is this a unique pattern for this child. And in doing that, we're collaborating with many different resources. Again, we're looking at the data, looking at the dashboards, looking at our student management system as well. Our goal is to make sure that 100% of our students are receiving the interventions that they need in order to close the gap and also to show that there's growth, and those who are reaching proficiency, also making sure that they continue along that track. Also, we really want to have 90% attendance rates for our students. And I believe I heard someone say that the school offering opportunities, creating an environment for students where they want to come to school. In elementary and primary grades, we really focus on routines with our students because we want to get them into routines, so that reduces behavior issues and so on. But at times we want to make sure that they have opportunities to maybe have a job in the school or participate in a positive behavior intervention assembly, get awards, and have people come in to do performances. So we want to make sure that when they miss school, they feel like they really missed out on something during the week.
And that goes back to our academic achievement being directly linked to focusing on the whole child. So as mentioned, PBIS, or positive behavior interventions and supports, they are a key to success, especially, I mean, at any level, but especially for our young ones. We want them to get excited to come to school, to be in school. So having those interventions in place, not only in the classroom, in hallways and on playgrounds and the cafeteria. As mentioned, the monthly character assemblies where we can recognize different character traits. It's not just grades, but celebrating attendance, celebrating different character traits that people are showing or demonstrating. Weekly shout outs for positive behaviors, like I said, attendance celebrations, and definitely engaging the families throughout everything. All of this can also be progress monitored. We can do that through Infinite Campus as well. And it can also be done through Panorama, which do speak to each other. Having everyone involved in these meetings, these clinical meetings, so that everyone is on the same page when discussing the child. And we're hoping that by doing this, we feel confident that we can decrease overall absenteeism by 10% and decrease student referrals by 5% by creating a loving environment that kids want to be in. And finally, oh,
A clarify. Another way of saying decrease by 10% is our goal with each individual student to increase their attendance by 10%? Or is this just, do you see what I mean? You can both ways to look at it. And, I would feel a strong, give them a target, give their parents a target, as opposed to the big Krieger clinic target, which we lose that granularity. That's
yeah, no, absolutely. That's a really great point that you bring up, and I would say 10% for both.
positive.
Mm-hmm.
Increase your attendance by 10%, not be less absent.
And we're very fortunate to have attendance caseworkers that we meet with regularly. I'm very grateful for Mr. Alfred in my building. He has done a great job following up with families, seeing how we can support them if there's a reason that they're not coming to school. So I feel confident that we can reach that goal this year. And finally, the emphasis and importance of families and partnerships. So these tools and strategies we feel will help us support the different partnerships and making those community connections. So having those family engagement nights as, our back to school night. I know there's open house tomorrow for Krieger. We have our back to school night open house next Thursday. Those monthly assemblies where it's not just students, but families are welcomed in, different cultural celebrations, really increasing that communication. I know that some families had expressed that they felt that they were getting information later. So making sure that we are being proactive and getting those things out to families as soon as possible. Those parent-teacher conferences, different family workshops, and all of this can be progress monitored as well through different attendance logs, surveys, feedback. That's where we always welcome feedback so that we, when we know better, we do better. And we feel that our goal is 95% of families will be receiving communication updates consistently, and that can be monitored through Parent Square. At least 3 new community partnerships can be established and sustained annually. We have so many amazing different things in the community that I'm learning new ones every day. And an 80% parent satisfaction on annual family engagement surveys.
So as you can see, our primary focus was encompassing academics, excellence, student support, the whole child, and family engagement with individualized attention. So we thank you for your time and welcome any additional questions.
Just before we get to questions, thank you for making that latter statement that in order to make the demonstrable growth we wish to accomplish, it is going to have to be individualized in a combination of whole as well. So 10%, 5%, that goal, though, that objective is going to have to be done and targeted towards individual students, and that would affect the whole. Slide 6. If you can go back, Becky, to slide 6. If you all can prepare to just give a more explicit explanation as to the data we're seeing, where it came from. You notice that there's first grade, second grade for reading and for math. There's no kindergarten. So just give the school board members and the broader community a little bit more of explicit explanation to the data slides here.
So this data is coming from our iReady diagnostic assessment that we monitor our students' proficiency and growth in reading and mathematics. We do it 3 times a year: fall, winter, spring. That's beginning of year, middle of year, end of year. the data that you see on this chart is last year's end of year data. We don't have kindergarten data right now because we're currently in the beginning of the year assessment window. So once the assessment window ends, we would be able to examine this data again. But we wanted a starting point. So typically, so the first graders were kindergarten last year, first grade this year. So we wanted to take a look at what did it look like when they left kindergarten? And when we re-examine the data after this fall window, we'll be able to see, did they maintain their proficiency? Was there a learning loss that happened over the summer? Is that a real thing for us? How are we going to ramp up our interventions for students who left the year proficient but may come back with a little bit of slide? And what are we going to do about our red students? So second grade data here for reading, they were first graders last year. And that is their data. And then it repeats for math.
Thank you, Ms. Turner, for that explanation.
Welcome.
Mr. President, that does conclude their presentation, and now they're at the point in the presentation where there's Q&A.
Naomi?
Hi, I had a question about the clinical meetings with key staff. I think an important element to consider might be the inclusion of health staff on those teams. I know there's not a school nurse in every building, but in buildings where there is a school nurse or a health aide present in that office, including them in those MTSS meetings could be a critical point for getting information, because oftentimes the school nurse is aware of why students are missing school. So, if it's possible to protect their time so that they can be contributing members of that team, I think that might be beneficial.
We're slated to have a nurse in every building. Right now, we're just trying to identify a nurse, and I'm looking at Mr. Hanready. I know he's working very diligent to ensure that we fill the vacancy. So I just want to make sure we emphasize that.
I kind of don't have a question anymore. You answered the question, more so of a comment. The numbers, the data is kind of alarming for me. A lot of times people come onto the school board, like we were discussing earlier, people come with an agenda, want things they want to fix. My agenda is literacy at the elementary level. A little background, I study history. I love history, particularly the history that pertains to people who look like me, people of color, African Americans. We historically have been the only race of people in this country been denied the right to read. And I think the effects of that denial, a legal denial, right to read, has trickled down to even generations, my generation, right? I am second generation of literate people in my family. My grandfather didn't read or write. My grandmother read at a 8th grade level. So my parents and myself were the first generation of literacy. And if that's my family, I know there's other families in this community who are probably one generation into literacy, or parents who can't read or write, or we have a community, a growing Latino community who depend on their children to translate Spanish into English. I think there needs to be a focus here at the district. We're focused on the whole student to also focus on the parents, because if the parents are not reading or understanding math, it's going to be really hard for us to have our students to read and understand. So I love this presentation. I wish we just have, and not just you guys, but district-wide, a focus on literacy at the student level, but also focusing on where our parents are at home if they're literate, if they're teaching their kids how to read. So if there's a way we can collaborate with the community somehow, I know there has to be organizations out there who are willing to take up that task with helping our parents learn how to read also. So I appreciate your presentation, but that's just my comments. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I too am very passionate about literacy, and I know that that's a big focus, and that's why we have the MTSS team and we personalize instruction for our students. I can tell you that this year we do have a big focus on data collection and time built in to analyze that data to make sure that we are personalizing and tailoring interventions to support student growth. I feel very lucky to have 3 reading specialists in my building, which is wonderful. So we do have the ability to give kids that support. And also, as far as parents, I know back to when I was teaching at Krieger, I was doing Saturday morning lights, and I remember there were workshops where parents came in. And I know Dr. Scott had some family universities last year, which there were different events where they highlighted workshops for parents to learn those things. And I look forward to bringing that, to the primary level for us.
Sorry, one more thing. I appreciate that. I hope that didn't come off as a attack on the elementary.
Oh, not at all.
School.
No, I love reading.
Yeah, I love reading also. I love reading also. I just, I think that if we can incorporate some type of data collection on our parents, if they're literate or not, I think that would help. And it will probably give us a little more information on why our students are going away for the summer and coming back and not reading at level. So I think those are important. If we focus on the whole student, I think we also need to focus on the parents and what's happening outside of school. Thank you.
Eleanor?
When I look at the data, very well displayed presentation. When I look at the data and I see the red, that lets me know that there's always room for green, right? So we can, the interventions that you're putting in regards to raising those rates, that's what we need in the community. I mean, in the school district. I do agree that when you look at this data, you do have to look at everything as a whole, right? Because the children are in the red. How do we get them to that green point? So I think that these interventions are definitely needed, and progress is definitely, you move toward the progress that you need to get the children into the green. But again, looking at the whole district and community, it's going to take a partnership with everyone. Like as one of the board members said, do we know if the parents even know how to read? That's a big part of it, because if you can't read, why you make an incentive for the children? So that's very important. So at this rate, I just think that all the interventions that you're being very proactive, which is great. And we want to get into a mode of being proactive and not reactive, and just try to stop, the illiteracy where it's at, and to, let the children grow and be able to be productive members of society. So the iReady is an amazing tool. I've used it with my own child who is in this district. It's an amazing tool. So as long as you can implement it and then get the data with the tool, you can see where the children are, either lacking or they need that help with. So I think that the presentation was good, and we know what we need to do to get us out of the red zone into the green zone. Thank you.
What are the number of students in the life skill classes? The number of students in the life skill classes? Do we know? Maybe Dr. Palmer might have that data.
Give me one moment, please.
And then also related to the STAR classes, what the number of students are in those classes?
Fatima, could you just say what the STAR classrooms are and the other?
I'm not the expert in that, so I mean,
you-
I know I have some familiarity with
Or
it.
can
But
somebody
if we could
just
ask the expert
yeah,
to answer
maybe.
the question.
Somebody just.
Oh,
I'm coming. Give me one
yeah,
second,
just Dr.
please.
Palmer is trying to research the numbers that are in the life skill court classes at Krieger. And then she'll give you a comment and an overview of the STAR programs at I believe they're at Truth as well. So what I will say is the urgency of now is depicted in slide 6 while Dr. Palmer gets prepared. We need to provide the supports, the additional resources to both of our primary buildings. Let's also keep in mind that both of our primary buildings are over 400 students. They're at capacity. So my team and I are looking for additional resources, in particular at our kindergarten classes, to kind of reduce those class sizes a little bit more, and if not doing that, provide an additional support in the class to yield additional one-on-one small group instruction to support those non-readers as they enter kindergarten. So what we wanted to show here is again that urgency of now. So when we come to the board asking for additional supports, this is the reason why. You heard from the secondary team speaking to kids progressing grade level to grade level, not really being on grade level. We're trying to turn the trend. And this is where it's going to start. It's one of the reasons behind the reconfiguration, because now we do have 3 years now with our primary kids instead of just one as the previous year. So we can build those relationships, understand their strengths and weaknesses, make those connections with families so that we can support the child as they progress, so that as indicated by Ms. Turner, they are exiting second grade, third grade ready, and then they're reading in third grade. I think I provided Dr. Palmer that latitude that she was looking for, so she can share now what those numbers are for the life skill classes.
So, just trying to get to Krieger. Where's my, just freezing a little bit. Just give me 1 second, please.
Dr. Mott, did you explain what the STAR and the life skills classes are? Did you say that? That I didn't.
Certainly. STAR
Oh, she's
is
looking.
the total skills. I'm trying to remember the acronym that was created many moons ago, but just give me 1 second. Okay. I want to give you the correct acronym for the program, but it's a special class that is designed for students who have a classification and or a designation from a medical provider with a classification, with a diagnosis of autism. So it's a total communication skills program. That was the original design of the program many moons ago. It has since shifted from that. The original design was a 6-1-2 model, 6 students, 1 special education teacher, 1 teaching assistant, and 1 special education teacher, because the program was designed to support their communication needs. Since my return to the school district, we've kind of shifted from that. And the program it's a 12-1-1 model. There are 12 special education students, 1 special education teacher, and 1 teaching assistant. So the design is a little bit different.
The STAR classes are 12 to 1-1.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't
Hold
realize
on,
that.
please, 1 second. Let me just get my class program list. There we go.
So the sole classification,
I'm sorry, I misspoke. I'm sorry. STAR is 12-1-2. My apologies.
12 what?
I'm sorry, my apologies. STAR is a 12-1-2. There are 12 students, 1 special education teacher, and 1 teaching and 2 teaching assistants. My apologies.
Okay.
And so at Truth Elementary School, there are 3 sections of the STAR program. There's a kindergarten section, a first grade section, and a second grade section. Just want to keep in mind that our special classes, formerly called self-contained, our special classes, you can have a bridge class where you can have multiple grade levels. At this time, our enrollment, we're able to keep it true to per grade level. And so in our kindergarten class, we have 10 students enrolled. Our second grade class, we have 8 students enrolled. And our first, so kindergarten is 8 students, first grade is 10 students, and second grade is 8 students. So in a class that's capped at 12, you can have 12 students, and the state allows something called a variance, where we write a request to our special education quality assurance representatives, and they allow us to put 2 more students in the program. Without the variances, we'd have to open up another section of those programs, which means securing space in one of our elementary schools, as well as hiring special education teachers and their support staff. So those are our numbers for our STAR programs.
But right now we don't have a variance because we're not at max.
Not for our
Correct?
STAR program.
Okay.
And not at Truth. So
And
I
the
can give
only
you,
classification for STAR is autism?
that was the original design for STAR. So typically,
What other classifications?
so the Committee on Special Education has an obligation to make a recommendation for school district programs that can meet the needs of students. And so a student in a STAR program can have any one of the 13 classifications
Okay.
as long as that program meets their needs. I was just trying to share some background information that the
I see.
original design was for students who had a classification or diagnosis of autism.
That makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
For Krieger Elementary School, we have life skill programs there. We have two versions of it. We have an 812. There are 8 special education students, 1 special education teacher, and 2 teaching assistants. And please keep in mind, I want to reference my previous presentation to the board. This is the design of the program. We are still working with our building leaders to fully staff our programs. We prioritize making certain that our classrooms each had a teaching assistant. And so we are still actively hiring our support staff, including teaching assistants and aides. I was notified by one of our coordinators today, we had a vacancy for 24 aides. And today she shared with me that we have a vacancy of 5 aides. So we've been working diligently to fill that need. We've had to be strategic, had to work with building principals to have them support our programs with shifting aids to some of our students, and all of our students are priorities, but we have difficult task in saying, I'm going to assign this support staff to this student over this student. These are some of the challenges that we are faced with, but we're making those types of decisions daily.
But when you say teacher aid versus health aid when we say aides,
So teaching us, I'm sorry.
I know
I
the
can
difference,
speak
but
to
I
that.
just want to make
Yeah,
sure
so
that.
in a school district, the civil service classification in our civil service jurisdiction, the name of the position is health aide, but they function as a teacher's aide, which is a non-certificated, unlicensed paraprofessional who assists in the delivery of instruction.
So we use those names interchangeably.
We
but
use the
when
term
we-
health aide in Poughkeepsie because that's the civil service title.
Uh-huh.
But Dr. Palmer is speaking generally about the role, which under regulation is called a teacher's aide.
Got
And
it.
that's differentiated from a teaching assistant, which is a individual who holds state certification in in the instructional area of teaching assistant.
Mhm.
And they are able to assist with the delivery of instruction, not simply maintenance needs for students. Typically, the health aides would assist with things like what Ms. Safari was talking about in her public comment, things like toileting, mobility, assisting students with transitions, assisting them with getting their materials ready so they're able to engage in instruction and things like that. So, but it is a little confusing in Poughkeepsie because the civil service title under the city is different than what the regulations say for all other school districts. But they're the same thing, is the
Thank you.
bullet point.
Okay.
Just want to respond to your question about the life skills. So at Krieger, none of our life skills classes are over at capacity. Krieger, we have 812, 7 students, our 1212, 12 students, 1 teaching, 1 special education, 2 teaching assistants has 12. And then we have a blended grade level for first graders and second graders, which is at 11. And we have another first grade, second grade, which is at 12. What I'm sure you may be responding to are there are other programs in our district that have gone beyond our capacity, and those programs are in our integrated co-teaching classrooms. And we have been working with CEQA to submit the first additional student is a notification to CEQA, which is again the Special Education Quality Assurance. And the second additional is a request for approval, which we've been working with CEQA to make certain that we're meeting those deadlines.
But for the life skills, our max is 12.
So we have one version that's an 812. So that one's capped at 8. And then we have the remainder of our programs are capped at 12. And right now we don't have any overages to my last notification from our coordinators.
12 to 1.
Our life school programs are 1212.
12, 1, 2. Okay.
Just so the board knows, part of our goals in our division this year is to refine and update our continuum of services in collaboration with our building principals. We want to make certain that the description actually matches what's being provided in alignment with regulations that we're offering here in Poughkeepsie City School District.
I think we'll have a longer conversation about this. I know that I've heard whispers in the community about health aides and teacher aides and the high needs of our students, and that it's been really challenging. And so at some point, Mr. Mott, if we can either on a board level, whichever way you recommend for us to engage in that conversation about how we're supporting our staff and our students. I mean, seeing this, and I've seen these numbers before, but I think it's a extraordinary amount of high need students that we are supporting within district. I will say though, there was a time when the board, our board, had requested, because when we do out of school district placement, it's a high amount of money we pay for that, extraordinary amount of money. And we continuously have a growing rate of students with high needs. So it's kind of like, okay, we don't do out of school district placement, which ultimately is better for the student because they're in the community, they're with their peers, they have direct access, avoid an hour, 2 hour bus ride. So it's, I know that it's an issue, and just wondering about it and how we're tackling that on, particularly with these high numbers at Krieger and Truth. Looking forward to what your thoughts are in managing that with Dr. Palmer and other colleagues.
But what I will say is that one of our key performance indicators in the special education office, or exceptionalities office in particular, is to have a special education programs audit. We really want to look at, are we providing the proper services? Are we using our resources properly? Are we placing our kids in the best environments to optimize their opportunities and provide them with the supports they need? So that's one of the reasons why you will see later on in the presentation, a key performance indicator will be to provide by January 2026, it will be spearheaded by Dr. Palmer, a special education programs audit.
Mr. Ma, if I may respond, the STAR acronym is Social Skills and Total Communication Access Room.
Yeah, I mean, I just know that even in New York City, they call the term emotionally disturbed.
Yes.
When you have high needs students, by the way. And then there's like a whole district within the conglomerate of New York City Public Schools that just solely serves that population. And it's they're so full with stigmatization. There's a lot of stigma around it. And I know that this is a thing for us. I'm already hearing whispers of the challenges in the classroom. You know, we got to wrap our hands around this. Thank you.
All right, Fatima aside, I was shocked when the surveys and the strategy was take the kids out of the classroom. So I'm agreeing with you, but when we had some of the surveys.
Where's this, what strategy are you
When
speaking to?
when we were doing the strategic thing, they said what you should do. Isolating the kids came up really high. It was not a big score for inclusion in that survey. It didn't make the top of the list, but I'm just throwing it out there. So I'm agreeing with you that there's.
No, I'm just a little lost in the comment. I'm just trying to ask
There
for
was when we
context.
did
What
the
was
strategy.
On the
But
I don't,
no, wait.
on the
We're, I understand, and we all have historically struggled with this, and I I we're going to move on. All right, and just continue. We'll take your suggestion, but we'll do the best we can do. All right, moving right along.
So I want to thank you very much, so much. Right, just give them a round of applause, folks. Thank you for taking the time. Principal O'Connell, Miss Barrow, and Miss Turner, thank you all for your patience and your presentation and sharing with us this evening. Dr. Palmer, thank you as well. Appreciate you jumping in. That's the
And
way.
now I was going to ask a question. So don't go yet, please. 1 minute. All right. One of our things with community engagement is really taking input back from the community, back from the parents. It's a requirement for our Title I funding. And I'm listening. What's our listening ears? I know we have the survey to the parents. And one of the things about working successfully with volunteers is they want to work, they want to do things. What's our most effective way that we're trying to establish ways, activities that they feel we're both on the same problem and we're both moving in the same direction. So what are we asking the parents? Like, I know we have surveys, but when they come in, are you satisfied with the test scores? Are you showing the test scores? Or what's the go-to, how to hook them into and give them something they can succeed at and move us forward?
I think we start by things like our back to school orientation. I mean, that was like a really big celebration. I know for Sojourner Truth alone, we had over 700 people because they came with all of their children, which were all welcome, and to make them want to be in school. So I know I personally invited families to come meet me in person prior to school starting. I made phone calls home. I want them to know this is a partnership. So not just those surveys, but having them feel listened to, even when, I'm out there in the morning greeting kids and they're being dropped off, making sure that I'm acknowledging them and, answering questions that they have, but things of that nature.
Let's throw this out. If you get a winner, if we could only do this, the parents would come, be it Suzuki violin or
For parent volunteers?
parent engagement. So they're really engaged in the process of getting their kid in school, getting the highest attendance, those sort of things where we really push that out to the community because we can't do it from a silo back here. We need that real community engagement and everybody feels part of the solution. And I was asking, do we ever look at the engagement from that lens?
Yeah.
One of the benefits of having a school that's pre-K through second grade is that we get a lot of parent engagement because this is for some parents, this is their first time having a child in school, so they want to be a part of it. And what we try to do when they do come in for our events, you saw the photos from our orientation where we were packed like shoulder to shoulder, is having community there. So at Krieger, we had community, and I believe also in Truth, community organizations there to support parents and really have them come in and sharing with them, here are some ways that you can support. Do you want to volunteer in the school? Here's the paperwork that you fill out for that piece. We're also looking for recess monitors. You know, you could come and work this in the hours that your child is in school. So different ways of supporting, and we have the audience. So we're using that to our advantage to help create that connection, but also providing a benefit to our parents as well. Thank you.
Thank you both. Again, our two primary principals for joining us. Mr. Creedon, we do have one final presentation tonight. I'm asking Dr. Dino to make her way to the microphone. Tonight, we're going to talk about our 3-year strategic plan and accountability and transparency. We're going to tag team this presentation to go as quickly as possible through the process by which we yielded and produced a draft of our next 3-year strategic plan. Becky, if you can go to the next slide, I'm just going to go right quickly through this presentation. I'm not going to read our mission statement. It did remain the same, but I will emphasize words such as champions, high quality path to success. And that's what we want to accomplish and achieve for all of our students. So once again, a moment while Dr. Dina make way to walk us through, and I really appreciate her leadership and work with our consultant, Dr. Kevin McGowan, throughout the last 6 months to produce our next 3-year strategic plan. It outlines our 3 priority areas that we're going to focus on within these next 3 years. It's going to outline our action steps and the individuals responsible for achieving and leading the action items. We're also going to speak to you about our key performance indicators and how they're tied into our strategic plan. They're over and beyond what's in our strategic plan because there's a lot of work to be done here in Poughkeepsie in order to meet the urgency of now. We're going to show you a crosswalk and how the key performance indicators will be aligned to our 3 strategic priority areas. And then we're going to follow up with sharing with you a copy of our superintendent's cabinet key performance indicators as listed currently on our website. So I'm going to expect you to get prepared to show us that at the conclusion of the presentation. So Dr. Dedina, please just take the microphone now and walk us through real quick the process that led to the next 3-year strategic plan for the Poughkeepsie City School District.
So first, thank you everyone, especially, welcome our new board members. This is really exciting work that we embarked on together. And, we are really just in the initial stages of this plan. But the purpose of this presentation is just not to show you here it is, but to really walk you through the process that led to this plan. So if you could just next slide, please. So in our plan, we have our welcome letter, and then we kind of go through this, process, introduction, and overview. But what I want to start here is really explain what led to this plan and what kind of these numbered items really mean and what was the work that happened behind the scenes. And so really we wanted to focus on the community process that we undertook in order to come up with this plan together. So that thought exchange, and I think board member Creedon was mentioning ideas that bubbled up. It was based on that thought exchange that was open to the community that was in the spring. And what was really great about this thought exchange is that it wasn't just internal stakeholders that were providing feedback and comments, but it was also open to the community at large. There was messaging. We even had signage on the digital sign outside of the convention center. Go to our website, provide feedback. And the questions really were open in general. How do you think we're doing, basically? And then adding comments and then reflecting on whether or not you agreed with what other people had said. So then during that first facilitated meeting in July, we had board members, we had central office staff, and we had building leadership. And we really came together to think about our mission, our vision, and the core values and start to look at the feedback that was kind of enumerated throughout that plan. But then we come to that really large August meeting where it was that community workshop. And what's really exciting, I think, for us to realize is that it wasn't just internal members that were at that meeting. We had sent out over 79 invitations to board members. We invited all of the board members. There were invitations, 20 building administrators, 20 central office staff. There were 9 community members. There were 9 family members. Some of us are sitting on the board tonight that were invited. There were, all of our union leadership and other internal Poughkeepsie members were invited. And so out of those 79 invitations, there were 49 individuals that came to that meeting to really work together and really represented many different categories of individuals coming together to collaborate and to really come together and share this plan. On August 18th, there was another facilitated session with Dr. McGowan. He was the one who was leading the work with us. And this again was participation with the full leadership team. So this was our central office staff and our building administrators really working together. There were additional 2 days of collaboration to really fine tune and finalize the plan and the action steps that we'll see later on in this presentation. And it really was a collaborative effort. And we're going to see how this highlights the core values that we're going to see on the next pages. So, we come to that first part where who are we? Where our mission statement has not changed, right? We value that mission statement. But what has changed is we have a new vision. And so our new vision is we work in partnership with the community to provide an education with high expectations for all students each day in a safe, inclusive, and challenging environment where students are empowered to become successful members of their community. And if we look at that vision, thinking about that high expectations for all students, every single student in this district. But then there's a little bit of fine print on that page as well, and I wanted to read that out to you. We believe that we can achieve our vision and accomplish our mission if, in all of our work, we strive to uphold the core values. And these are the new core values. We have collaboration, accountability, commitment, transparency, professionalism, integrity, passion, and compassion. So when I look at these core values, I know that I'm asking myself, how am I holding myself accountable? What does that look like? How am I approaching this demanding work with passion, but also compassion for others in this system? And really, how am I committed to our mission and our vision? And what does that look like? So, with these guiding core values, we really see how we need to work together, but have these kind of in our mind as we approach this work. And it really shows when we think about the urgency of now, this is the framework that we're using. We're going to move forward with integrity, with passion and compassion, but also with accountability and a commitment to the work. So then the next aspect of our plan is really these priority areas. And these were, again, based on that community feedback and all of the work that went into ahead of time for us working together. So we have the culture of care and collaboration, we have engaged and empowered learners, and we have operational excellence. And so what the groups did is when the community stakeholders came together, we looked at these priority areas and as a group collaborating with all of the different stakeholders in the room, started to think about, well, what would a goal look like based on all of the feedback when we think about a culture of care and collaboration? And then from there were many levels of the leadership team where we reviewed and provided additional feedback to really fine tune what these goals would look like. So if our goal for culture of care and collaboration, we will establish a systematic process that engages stakeholders in providing input and fostering collaboration to shape professional learning opportunities and promote culturally responsive practices. Our goal for engaged and empowered learners, we will create safe, supportive environments that prepare all students for post-graduation success by delivering a rigorous P12 curriculum with embedded SEL, aligning resources and programs, and providing whole child support through community partnerships, diverse opportunities, and healthy, productive options. And for operational excellence, we will strengthen retention of staff and students by fostering family partnerships, ensuring transparent and bilateral communication, engaging families in decision-making, promoting equity in resource distribution, and continuously evolving through consultation and collaboration. So then,
If I could just interject, that
Sure.
last block was the question I was asking. How are we doing that? And I'm just pointing out, and I'm still asking that question. What's our go-to plays or plans to get that one? Like, that's all. That says it better than I asked the question.
I'm glad we aligned there. And so the action plan and the actual action steps, that's how we're going to get there. And so, again, in the same collaborative structure we use for action planning, really the action planning steps were the tasks for the leadership team, was really to take those original ideas from all of the community planning days, add steps, revise as needed, as well as naming who would be responsible for the work and when the timeline of the work should be completed. The Poughkeepsie City School District, our leadership team, which was both building and central office leadership working together, there were 3 action planning sessions to really review and provide feedback. And really, this was a way for us to come together and really make sure that we were all in alignment with what those action steps for the plan would be. And when you think about, you know, later in the slide, Superintendent Mott is going to speak to accountability and transparency. But when we think about our core values here, it's really the responsibility of the work of the cabinet members that are named here. But it's not just the cabinet members alone, it's through the collaboration with their teams, holding their teams accountable to the work, is how we're going to move the work forward. And so, we do have a brief timeline here, and and as you could hopefully see, we're still in the really beginning of this journey. The strategic plan is not the end, but it's really the beginning of our journey to support this work. And we're really looking forward to communicating our progress with the community as well as you all. And our next steps are really unpacking this plan and ensuring that the teams really understand what they're responsible to do and really making sure that it's clear how we're going to get there through those steps. Really, what this shows us is how we're continuously working together, really, in order to meet the progress of our shared goals. The next part of the presentation really is going to outline in more detail the approach with accountability and transparency in mind and how we're going to connect these ideas to our core values. So we do also highlight everyone who was on that planning team. Next slide, please. So in this kind of image that we have here, this is what Superintendent Mott shared at convocation with all of our staff. And really, this kind of is our shared vision, and it speaks to our values of commitment, accountability, transparency, and collaboration. So if you take a look at this image, we see that our Poughkeepsie community is the foundation to which our priority pillars are holding up the Poughkeepsie City School District. But if you noticed, all around what represents our strategic plan is this circle that we are naming our accountability and transparency and our key performance indicators. Because our key performance indicators really here, it's that circle of work of accountability and transparency, which is really going to make sure that we progress towards our goals. I'm going to hand it back off to Superintendent Mott.
So how are we going to get there? Thank you, Dr. Dino, so much for that thorough overview and quick overview. But how are we going to get there with accountability and transparency? So this next slide shares that path to accountability, that the cabinet level key performance indicators. This slide just shares a definition of what they are before we share what they are. So what is a key performance indicator? We know that it's a specific measurable value. What is the description? A brief explanation of what we want to accomplish. Our measurement would be what method of tracking progress towards meeting such target. Our target would be our desired outcome. What do we want to accomplish and when do we want to accomplish it? And the final 2 columns speak to progress monitoring. our current performance and where we want to go. That's why if you notice in our primary success plans, there was a target. We want to try and reach that target through individualized instruction and as a whole, individual students, individual grade levels, individual buildings, and then of course that will be affected district-wide. And finally, our timeline will be a schedule, a time frame where that target or key performance indicators should be accomplished. Bottom left-hand corner of this particular slide speak to a color code tracking mechanism. Dr. Dino and I will be tracking on a weekly, quarterly basis each of the key performance indicators and be transparent with all four cabinet members, whether they're on track, in progress, off track, or have completed their key performance indicator. And if you go to slide 13, we get to more specifics of as an example of what they are. I mentioned in the discussion regarding the life skill classes, STAR classes, some comments were made and questions were alluded to the fact that we really do need to complete a special education programs audit. By way of definition, we want to complete a comprehensive external audit of all special education programs and services to ensure that we being efficient, effective, and we're offering the best possible learning environment for all of our students with exceptionalities. How would that be measured? We want an evaluation audit of the district special education services. We want to target our programs, our staffing, and professional learning. We want to look at instructional practices. We want to look at a continuum of services. We want to look at our physical practices, and we're looking to have this audit complete by the end of January 2026. So this slide just gives you an example in short period of time. I'm going to share with you each of the cabinet members' key performance indicators in total. Dr. Dino, you can explain this crosswalk.
The next slide. Okay. So in order to kind of see how these two documents merge together, we created in a crosswalk between the strategic plan and the KPIs, really to ensure that action items were being held accountable in both. And so basically what you see here, so if we look at an example from the Executive Director of Human Resources, one of those key performance indicators is onboarding and new hire retention. Okay. And then we have what the description was. Now, if we were looking at the KPI documentation, you would see the full level of how we were measuring targets and what have you, like you saw on the previous slide. But here, what I want you all to notice is if we look at the strategic planning goals of culture of care and collaboration, there are 4 action steps that are aligned to onboarding and new hire and retention. Okay, and so they're demonstrated in different ways, but they are meeting the same goal. So when we think about the crosswalk, we did crosswalks for all of the action items in the strategic plan, aligning them with the key performance indicators for our cabinet members. What you will notice, and what we're going to show later, is that we have posted the key performance indicators to the website. And what you'll see is there are some items on the key performance indicators that don't live in the strategic plan. That's just to say that these are additional action items that we know are required in order for us to move the work forward. So you'll see additional items there, but that's because we know we need to work towards those meeting those goals. And so that's where you'll see some additional items in the KPIs that don't necessarily have a specific naming in our strategic plan document.
So in this final slide, we're depicting here that student success is a shared endeavor. It will take our community. It will take parents, guardians working together, being engaged, being involved. Of course, it will be how we approach the work as a district. That is the sheer purpose of this particular image. Now, on the district website, as indicated by Dr. Dino, if you can take us there, Becky, I want to share with the school board and the broader community where the key performance indicators live on the website. And if you go under district information about PCSD, and then you'll see there's the superintendent cabinet. There you go. So you can see on the website, and we won't spend a lot of time on this given the lateness of the hour. Um, but each of the cabinet members are shown on the website, and there is, if you click on Ms. Turner, for example, Becky, you will see there is a brief summary of her body of work, who she is in action, how to communicate and get in contact with her. And you scroll down, you will see the key performance indicators that she and her division of instruction are collectively responsible for achieving for the 25-26 school year.
So where we are on the website, since we are going to be updating these quarterly, these are just what the key performance indicators are. And our next update, that's when we're going to start having our progress towards our indicators. So this is just naming them. Our next update will have our progress towards our key performance indicators.
We can go into more details, but again, given the lateness of the hour, we will conclude and ask if there are any questions specifically that you may have that we may be able to address. Thank you, Board President, for the time this evening.
First question is about this key performance indicator. I see on the website there's one for all the cabinet members. Why do we only have the one for the HR? And
that was a sample.
Okay, so
example.
Okay. All right, so it's just a sample. Okay, yeah. Perfect. And then since this sample is the one that was in front of us, I'm just looking at some of these action steps. They seem kind of like easy wins for the district that are being pushed off till next winter, like implementing retention initiatives, action plans for sufficient staffing of licensed mental health professionals. These seem like things that can happen before the school year, before the year end, before the end of this year. I'm just concerned that we're pushing off easy things, easy wins for next year that can be done now. And my question is, why not now? Why next year? Why next winter? Why not now?
Well, let's keep in mind, this was a collective collaborative effort to draft these pillars, action steps, time frame. So it wasn't just a district initiative. It was community, it was district, it was, school board members and the like. Doesn't mean, however, that we can't accomplish anything in a quick, sooner time frame than what's listed. This is also a draft. So if we yield some comments and concerns or recommendations from you, we would take those into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, it seems, I looked through the whole strategic plan and there are a lot of things to me that seem like could happen sooner than later. So that's just my only concern about the strategic. I'm glad to know that it's just a draft. But I think for this community, the easy wins, we should get those now. Let's accomplish the easy things now that can affect the district in a positive way now, instead of waiting. And I think HR is probably the perfect place to start, and probably the easiest place to start to hit those easy wins. I think a lot of what happens in organizations starts at the HR level, at the staffing level.
Right.
And if we have happy staff, if we are retaining staff, if we're onboarding staff the proper way, I think that's how we start with building a successful workforce, successful district. So if we can look again at the timeline for a lot of these HR initiatives, and let's try to move them forward faster instead of later. That would be my only recommendation, and I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate the input, actually. Thank you so much.
I just want to say that we just got to bear in mind that with the new things that are happening with the district, it's going to take time. The busing, the configuration, all of those things are going to take time, but we are moving in a positive direction. Nothing is perfect. It's going to take, the community, as I stated before, the school district and the community together in collaboration. So just getting better at, each individual what input put into the district, and then also bearing in mind that everything we do should be centered around the children and the best for our children. that's what it should be. So just the best district of the children, the best things that we want for the district for the children. So, again, the busing is gonna take time. We're trying to get it together and do well. And the reconfiguration, we're doing new things. So anytime you're doing anything new, it's gonna take some, a learning curve for us, but I think we can get it done. And I think that, the cabinet is initiating some things and they're doing checks and balances. And we just gotta give it our best shot. That's it.
These are aggressive. There's no question about it. When you talk about easy wins, we definitely want easy wins. We definitely want to build on our successes, as I oftentimes would say. But also keep in mind that, even in a small city school district, there's the bureaucracy here as well. So we have to go at a pace where we work in collaboration and get folk on board to ensure that we're doing things properly.
Sometimes you got to push people on board.
Well, that's why we're in the urgency of now,
Yeah,
and
sometimes you
that's
gotta-
why we have these key performance indicators. Good point, though. Thank you.
I did look at the key performance indicators. I actually think they're very ambitious. And but hopeful, and think that we can win. I would just caution that as you get familiarized with yourself, the inner workings of the school district, and the complexities that are involved in it, it, it gets complicated. But I would imagine that our colleagues and our professionals are keen on, getting whichever win we can get. And I have the full faith and confidence in our staff to make it work. That's it.
In my discussions with Greg, there is project management. And when you look at the rollout, a lot of those are project management timelines and goals, where the teachers do this in the time, did we get as many educated as we wanted to do? And a lot of those, and then you mix that with the real vital measurements. Was that program successful? And if it's a big program, you can spend all this time in project management and lose sight of how we go to measure the end results. Was it bid? Did it save us more money? Did the trucks don't break down? We hold this whole project management to do all the work that delivers the products. And there's a lot of that in the first part of the presentation. But what I'm hoping to see is what I thought are some of the most important ones. We're on the best, and we saw it a mock-up. This is what we're going. And I'll take a real easy one: attendance. When are we going to measure attendance, compare it to last year, and see if that stinking bus plan really worked? All right, because if the attendance doesn't go up, we spent a heck of a lot of money, time, and effort getting buses. And if nobody's getting on them, and sometimes it's easy to find a measurement, and sometimes it's really hard, especially in education. Are they going to succeed in the next and do? And I just hope we spend some time getting those as we prioritize our plan. Immediately start to think, how we go see, what's it going to do? What's the changes? And I don't have the answer because I've been trying to ask, but I'll give you one. I know there's a business report because I tripped over it that tells you our first year teachers attendance plan, but retention. But I didn't see that in the presentation when I know it exists because I had found it before. If you go in, you can find it. And I compared this to Arlington and us for a year ago. But yet we talk about our plans for retention, but we forget to look at, here's where it's published. Here's where we were. Here's what we want to see next year. and I'll find the retention one. It's published. You have to click on the top of some financial review and it gives you the data in the SED database. Right. All right. So that's all. I think everybody's united more so than I've seen in the past behind the plan. Everybody's making concessions and sharing the pain, from an employee standpoint. But I wholeheartedly feel that the whole district, the employees are coming together. And one of the things we look for when we had our retreats is organizational effectiveness. And some of this hopefully will get us more to that organizational effectiveness so we can focus on delivering and moving the children forward. Thank you.
Dr. Didino, thank you for your time and your attention to details this evening, and you may go back to your seat. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Creedon.
We're moving on to a more formal, we had to introduce more motions, and so we're not completely a working session. So the first thing we're going to go is the consent agenda when we have numerous items for approval. And I would like to know at this time if there's any objections, or did I say that right? On any items on the consent agenda as presented. Okay. Hold on, let me go. Hey. Hold on, I'll go back. Hearing no objections, I'm going to start to move. Okay, hearing no objections, do I have a motion to approve it's September 3rd, 2025 meeting notice, meeting minutes? All in favor? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The treasurer's report, do I hear any objections? And we have a motion to accept the 3rd, 2025. All right, July 25 treasurer's report.
So moved.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
This one. 11.1 person. Oh, wait. Consent personnel. Is there any objections to the consent personnel? Hearing no objection. Hearing no objections, can I move for approval?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Abstain. Aye.
That brings us to consent agendas under finance administrations 16. Are there any objections at this time? Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Can we have a roll call? Because I would like to request a roll call because I'm not sure. I heard a motion to abstain. Is that right?
One abstention and 4 in favor, 1 abstention.
Okay, what was it for again? Is it specific to? Okay. So I just wanted to know whether or not it was specific to one of those consent agenda items. That's why. To both of that. Well, that's why I want to clarify since we're a new board and just want to make sure that that is clear.
And hopefully I'll do this consistently after the next one for the new board members and the old board members myself. All right, that brings us up to board discussion.
Isn't there a rule for abstaining? Aren't we supposed to present our reasons for abstaining?
Multiple abstentions by a board member are disfavored. However, in this instance, I'm going to presume that it's because board member Cummings has not been on the board up until now. Is that correct, sir? Okay, so he's not comfortable voting on personnel items for which he has no background. So
Great.
I construed that based on our prior conversation. I should have clarified.
Okay.
I appreciate it. And the board discussions, the first one is board member terms. And I think that was on there to explain the upcoming election, right? Yeah, so.
Since I'm here, I'm happy to explain. So we have had numerous questions regarding the length of the terms for our new board members who just took their oaths this evening. What is going on here is that both of these board members are filling unexpired but vacated terms left vacant by 2 prior departing board members. In small city school districts in New York State, when that happens, the board has the option of either calling a special meeting or simply making an appointment to the seat. And in this case, the board elected to appoint to both of the vacancies. When an appointment is made, the board member who is appointed holds the seat until the next regular annual election. And they can certainly, we hope these individuals will run again for their seats and that we don't scare them away over the next 4 months, 6 months. And we hope they will run again in May. And whoever wins that election completes the term that's been vacated and they assume the seat the day after the election. It's one of the exceptions where the length of the term does not begin on July 1 as it typically would. So we had some confusion just around the appointing resolutions for these 2 volunteers, and I did want to clarify that's based on the education law. It's not unique to Poughkeepsie.
And the only point of clarification is when the vote is taken, the highest vote getter gets the option of accepting the 3-year term. All right, and then it goes down, and the last place is you would accept the 1-year term. All right, so there'll be 2 for 3 years, and that's would be prioritized by the votes. But the 3rd place winner wants to run a year, they can move themselves down. That's okay, because it's not obvious. So that's a little clarification. All right, that brings us to the superintendent in school. Oh, did I skip that one? Okay. 20.2, the discussion of conference. This is the annual. Yeah, but I was looking at the date. It's September 17th. It's the NISMA convention, which I highly encourage people to go to if they have if they plan to be several years on the school board. There's educational sessions, you can meet your peers, and
exchange information. And so we're opening that up so all the members can think about it. And we'd like to get back to Becky so we could close this off with a resolution on the 1st. All right, and that's why it's here, and we're giving a new, you know, you can go down for a day or you can go down for 2 or 3 days, whichever you feel comfortable with.
Is that accurate? I thought our board clerk said we have to pay for the entire thing. Is that right? Or can we pay daily rates?
It's not a daily rate. It's paying for all 3 days, $500 and something, if I'm not mistaken.
But isn't there an education session before that you can go to? That's not part of the convention. I will look at it.
I gotta look at it.
Thinking up, I thought.
Yeah, I gotta look at it.
I thought there was some new board member training or
Oh,
something.
no. Okay.
There was something in line with it before that they were.
I will
offering.
be talking to our board members because I suppose they have to take their governance training. And I will be setting that up with them. I already informed NISBA that we do have 2 new board members.
Right.
Replacing the other 2. I am working on that, so.
So sometimes that's offered the first 2 days of the convention, and I lump them together. All right, now, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Creedon. Just a few.
I'm sorry, were we not going to decide who was going to attend the conference? Is that not why we had it for discussion?
I thought we had the discussion. Do we need to confirm now or can we confirm on the 1st? What? I'll ask Becky. She has the.
Okay, I know Naomi, I'm sorry, Naomi's here. Eleanor wants to go.
Yes.
Fatima wants to go. I'm gonna send you guys a date. And
Thank you.
let me
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I'm thinking about it, but what's the deadline? That's the way that.
I had to look it up. I don't remember. September 22nd, I'm gonna have to pay more money. So you gotta chop.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Very practical solution. Tell Becky before the 21st, and then we'll put it in the agenda to vote on for October 1st meeting. We can do that. Not be penalized. All right, now, Greg. Yeah, why not? We're already too late now. Yeah, it's not even printed to be in here, so when I'm going through it. Can you put it up for presentation? This was a real walk-on. I know, yeah. All right, we're going. For some of you, this is the first thing we have new board members. We looked at the committees and took a very quick, here's what it could look like. So the people that are on a committee, this may be the first time they saw they were on that committee. The important one that we really want to talk about or highlight is we're setting up the audit committee and the financial committee will be 2 distinct committees for clarity and accountability purposes. Is that right?
So if you wouldn't mind, given that I am the chairperson of the policy committee, there is a policy that speaks to specific to the audit committee. I'm not sure how we didn't see that prior, so I'll be full transparency. And so per policy, the committee is independently involved in the audit process, doesn't even involve staff members. Shockingly, I don't know if our legal counsel has anything to speak to that. And so that by resolution, we need to separate those two.
So audit committee is a very specific committee under the law, where the board has several different options for staffing that committee. You can either do it with all of you, a subsection of your members, or some of your members in combination with community members. It's one of the few committees where we can actually use outside community members. And that's recommended because usually when districts do that, they utilize CPAs and people with public sector finance experience to provide that level of insight in the process. It is required, as you said, to be an independent oversight committee, although the members of the committee typically are just those board members and outside community members. It is common that the the school business official would be involved in that because the school business official is integral to the preparation of the audit, as well as the district's budget, as well
Sure.
as overseeing the treasurer and the treasurer's report. So in my experience, typically the school business official would be also included, even though they're not a formal member of that committee.
Does that answer your question, 15?
I didn't have a question about it. In fact, I raised it as a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was accounted for when you, sorry, we.
So what I'm asking and requesting as a board member is that we have a resolution that formally divides the finance and audit committee. So my request, I'm guessing, since we're not ready for it today,
No,
that for the August for
if you
for
look
the
at what's
October
being
1st.
displayed, substantiates the committee structure you're promoting.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
That's, if
I-
you look at the.
Board President, I just want to specify that I was just speaking specific to our board action, but yes, this is really great, this document that's being displayed.
I believe it encompasses, it agrees with the statement you just made.
Sure, in addition to our board action. That's required, right? Okay. So, the specific question I have then is, I am not going to do the audit committee then. I will stick with the finance committee, but I will not then do the audit committee. So my request would be, if any of the two new board members, I cannot divide myself up anymore. So that would be great. The other request that I have is that we have the New York State Small School District Association. I might have gotten that wrong. I am would love for someone to take that on as well, because got a lot on my plate. And now that we have two new board members, that would be fantastic to pass on. No pressure for today, but I want to be explicit about my plate and relinquishing some of those.
So can we go back to the explicit one that's being displayed? Because I just didn't know, right now, you are on the finance committee, not the audit.
That's great.
Which one did you
I'm
want to be?
excited about that.
Which one did you want to be?
She's doing the audit and the policy.
No, I'm doing.
No,
she's
no,
on-
but you're-
Excuse me,
Finance.
finance, finance.
I'll do
excuse me,
finance and
and-
I will do the capital improvement one.
So again, this is just for informational purposes and.
Got it. Fair.
I don't think.
I think I see Bob on the capital improvement one, so that would have to be changed.
We,
Or did you
we
take that out?
have one change brought forward and Becky will redo it.
Beautiful.
And then they'll come on as a resolution at the next.
So can we add the liaison roles as well? Because the New York State Small School District, yada, 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 should be added to this list, if possible. Yeah,
Is
because
that
that's
one of
gonna require some attention.
Is that a district committee or one of these?
It's a liaison.
Can I have a point of order? Sure. If we're not going to be making any action on this, can we table this to the next meeting where we are going to make some action? Only because it's getting late.
The only thing I will say is there is a meeting coming up for the audit. It's actively happening, which is why I was addressing it sooner rather than later.
Right, but if we're not
Um,
voting tonight on.
Yeah, I don't, when's that meeting?
Good evening, all. Yes, we have a scheduled meeting for audit on October 8th, where our external auditor will be coming and presenting our financial reports in extra classroom. And this is mandatory by law because on the 15th, we're gonna be presenting the resolution to adopt the external audit financials and also extra classroom, which I have to submit that evening to SED portal.
I understand that, but are we making any action on this tonight is the question. So if we're not making any action on this tonight, can we table it?
But then we'll be at the same place the next meeting because there's not an actually public
Right.
discussion.
So then we don't-
Can I clarify the question though?
So we are making action tonight. then?
So we're not taking action necessarily, Board Member Cummings? What, Board Member Cummings, we don't even have a resolution, but because it's a board discussion, we're talking about this. So just for you all to kind of like, marinate on what's out there and what your level of appetite will be and be ready to decide. I think the board clerk will follow up with you
Yeah,
on what you're deciding to do, but
Where my-
bearing in mind, the audit committee is coming up. There's a meeting for that.
I understood. Where my name is fine for me. That's my end of discussion.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I mean, it's just a way to get it, so we can have it on the agenda without another discussion. And you can send it back to Becky. Good, yes, all right.
Is there a specific spot or a home base for the goals of each committee and the function of each committee? Is that outlined somewhere publicly?
Yes.
Okay,
I mean, it needs work, but yeah,
okay.
it's always good to look at it.
Okay.
So, Bettina, which one?
Look, I'm happy with whatever, as long as I don't get 4 or 5.
It was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to give up capital improvement, but I was actually personally interested in learning more about that work.
Have it, I'd be happy to.
No, you can, I mean,
No, you can go no matter what.
well, because I have finance and I have policy, and policy is going to take some time for me. So I'm happy to give up capital. And I'll continue to work with Lakai on finance.
So, but Eleanor, if you have any thoughts, just send them in to Becky and we'll try and do it through email. And this is when I was going to bring up the Title I. The New York State were required to have get parents' input legally.
Yeah.
And that's usually through structures and meeting. And I was just wondering if we've given any thought, is that going to be a district committee or another committee here? It's not, so it would be a district, which, how would we say it? Okay, so what would we call that then? Okay. And then would you need any?
Can we just make sure Kate has a microphone so that it
All right,
captures
here.
on the recording?
Here.
There's a distinction between district committees as organized by the superintendent versus those chartered by the board. And I was explaining that this is not a committee for which board engagement is necessary. In my experience representing, 200 districts around the state, typically the superintendent, because that's the individual who certifies for title compliance, would take the lead and take charge of soliciting required stakeholder input and certifying that compliance has been fulfilled.
And do the board members, I know they can, serve on it, but is it typical that there is one board member?
No.
Okay. But yet, if we have a parent, would that apply, say if you have parents, we have 2 parents, and one of the stakeholders for that committee is getting input from parents in the Title I.
I don't think I'm understanding the question.
If you're getting input from parents, if they happen to be on the board can they be part of the Greg's team who's getting input?
That
from
would, that would be
parents?
up to Greg.
All right, you answered me. Thank you. Got it. So they're not excluded.
I don't recommend that the board have any involvement in title compliance. That's really the superintendent's daily operations responsibility.
My second request, and I've asked this already also, and I believe our superintendent is consulting on this work, is formalizing the actual work of the committees. So, you know, how the structure that will occur, how those meetings will look like, etc. Thank you.
So if you all can just take the opportunity at the second sheet, it says committee meeting procedures. So look at those recommended procedures that will be standardized in terms of procedures, agenda items, community input, time frame for that, 10 minutes max, 1 minute per community members. We're trying to standardize that. So that's what board member Fatima is referencing. So just take a look at that. We can discuss that at a later date as well.
Our board clerk, you're going to share this with us as a follow-up to our meeting. Thank you. Or you, Bob?
No, I thought it's already out there in the, got a link. So that's, I thought we already received it for that.
It was up, hello? It was updated in Google Docs, right?
Google Docs.
So, you have it already.
Yeah,
Okay, was shared with us?
We've, yeah, because I read it in Google Docs.
Dr. Pino shared it with you.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you, Superintendent Mott, for taking a step forward in this work. It's been something have a huge desire to see get done. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That said, back to you.
Making sure. I'll be real brief. Thank you so much. I do want to welcome our two board members and want to thank you again openly for taking the time to be a part of the school board and volunteering your time. I also want to thank Jonathan Pacheco as well, our student representative who will be joining us at our next board meeting. We had a very enlightening session this morning with Ms. Torres as well, three of us over at Duchess Bosie's today. So looking forward to him joining us as well. Want to also thank my cabinet members for all of your due diligence and hard work and late hours, text messages, phone calls, and getting us ready for the opening of school. So I want to openly thank you for that, and to all of our building principals, teachers, and the like for your efforts. As stated during our superintendent's conference, we took on 3 huge initiatives, and they work tirelessly to get the buildings ready, assignments for teachers and assignments for support staff and classes, et cetera, in preparation. So I want to thank you all for your efforts as well. And finally, to our parents and guardians, thank you for your patience and being a part of the Poughkeepsie family. So forward momentum, the urgency of now, we are in that state of mind, and we hope that this year will be one of our most successful years as we are entering our second week of the 25-26 school year. So thank you very much. That concludes my comments.
For those who are still hanging out online, I'll try to speed read some comments I had. Though I recently accepted a new professional role as the school nurse at Oakwood Friends School, my heart and commitment remain firmly here in the city of Poughkeepsie schools. This community has given so much to my family and myself, and I wanted to remain connected in a meaningful way. Serving on this board allows me to do just that, to give back through volunteer service and to help shape the future of the schools where my own children are learning and growing. I have long been an avid board meeting watcher, despite the length of these meetings, someone who not only listens but also shares the district updates with others, because I believe transparency and engagement make our schools stronger. Now I look forward to taking that commitment a step further. As a parent, I see the district through the eyes of my children, one in the dual language program in first grade at Krieger Elementary and one in fifth grade at Smith School. As an educator and nurse, I see the incredible potential in every student, the dedication of our families, and the passion of our teachers and staff. These are our greatest assets. Thank you for welcoming me into this role, and I am humbled, energized, and ready to serve. Thank you, guys.
First want to start, my family's probably watching at home. Thanking everyone who came out earlier for to witness me and Naomi be sworn in. The love is appreciated. The support from the community is seen and then heard, and I appreciate that. Like I said earlier, my goal here on this school board is literally for the community. I am a child of the city of Poughkeepsie, born and raised in the 5th Ward on Winnicke Avenue, a graduate of Poughkeepsie High School and Marist College. My focus here on the school board is to bring some type of unity within the community and the district. I'm also a big proponent on literacy. Literacy is my number one thing, not just with my kids at home, well, my nieces and nephews, but also for the community at large. So you'll always hear me questioning and advocating for literacy, for reading programs. That is my biggest focus. Just some comments. The meeting was great, very long. I would recommend we never have 3 presentations in one meeting. That's the start, mainly because I think we lose focus in the audience. We saw people who probably would have been more engaged with these presentations maybe if we had just a few, one maybe or two. So that's one thing I like to point out. Another thing, maybe if we limit our comments here on the dais, we give the community 3 minutes to come up to speak. I think we should also just have 3 minutes to speak. I think it's fair. A lot of times, especially because I've been on that side and I know how hard it is to write your comments and to get those in within 3 minutes. And I think it would show the community that we are them and they are us. And if they can do it in 3 minutes, we should be able to do it also in 3 minutes and respect their time. Like the gentleman who said maybe he was incorrectly calling out, but I do appreciate his comments that he has to bring his kids to school in the morning and it's getting late, and we should respect the time of the parents who do come out to engage with the district. Other than that, I'm also the parliamentarian or the city clerk for the city of Poughkeepsie, so rules and order is something that I'm very a stickler on, and so I'm hoping that we can bring some order back to these meetings because this is a little bit chaotic for me. But beyond that, I appreciate the work that is happening. I'm excited to work with this board. Hopefully we can all work together to move the district forward. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you. Oh, and Ms. Popkin was my French teacher for 6 years, and she's my favorite.
The beautiful Popkin.
I'm gonna mindful of my comments. I mean, it's tough, right? Because in one way you get so the board doesn't stand up, it's a sensitive thing, and the other one will do the thing. So do the best we can, operate the best fidelity that we can, with that people will and embrace the work that's ahead of us. It is Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm going to share this quote that your individuality is important, but so is belong. Recognize the parts of your culture that shape your path. Parts want to carry with you.
Eleanor?
I'm gonna be brief. When we bridge the community with the schools, that's gonna be very important, so that way we can be trustworthy the community is important. And that's what we are about, Poughkeepsie. It's community in the school district. We cannot take one without the other. And everything else will fall into line when we can bridge that gap and we all be one community. Thank you.
I started my timer for 3 minutes. It won't be, hopefully won't be close. I'd like to say how much I'm relieved by having new board members and some people, new ideas, new facets, and looking at things differently. Wholeheartedly agree that we went over the top on presentations. I think we're embracing our new technology in terms of interfacing with the public, the schools and everything, back even to when you say go and look at the measurements, they were there before they were here. I think we give some thought to doing presentations, not only posting them, but do them as YouTube clips, a quick presentation. And if you have any questions on this, come to the meeting. And so you summarize it before, invite them to come with any thoughts, and you make it more accessible. So moving forward, because we're starting to do that on a lot of the technology. So even things, if you can do the summary, say call for input, and then hopefully make it more back and forth. For the people who did attend, I understand you only come when you have bad news and there's something you don't like. But I think we can strive to have presentations that maybe bring them out because they promise we're really embracing them and listening to them and telling them how to give us input on the presentation, just not make it lecturing. With that, it's a great team now. I'm sure we're going to crush it. And so, minute 50 seconds. Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.